3 weeks until opening day back home in Arlington. Tonight it's a spring training tune-up for a Texas Rangers team with high expectations in the year 2010. From Surprise, Arizona, Fox Sports Southwest presents the Rangers against the San Francisco Giants. And we welcome you once again to Texas Rangers baseball. Another great season ahead along with Tom Grieve. I'm Josh Lewin. Our 9th year together for the Rangers. Their 39th year in Arlington, Texas. And tonight, Rich Harden will get a chance to show off a little bit for his new ball club.
I'm looking forward to seeing Rich pitch tonight. First time we've gotten a chance to see him pitch in a Ranger uniform. We know all about him, a dominating guy. He's a strikeout pitcher. Going to be interesting to watch him. It's going to be real interesting for our fans to get a chance to see a young pitcher, Madison Bumgarner. He's only 20 years old, one of the very best minor league prospects in all of baseball. You'd be hard-pressed to see a kid after 2 years who's put up the same numbers as he has, and we'll talk about that more later in the minor leagues.
The City of Surprise pitching matchup for you, Harden and Bumgarner. They both bring heat, but we're in Arizona. It's a dry heat. You've heard that joke before. The Rangers and the Giants, a beautiful night for baseball. Thank you for joining us. We'll have that first pitch for you right after this. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest, brought to you by Reliant Energy, offering a range of plans from fixed rates to monthly plans. Call 1-866-RELIANT. By MCA, the official hospital of the Rangers. Visit medicalcenterarlington.com. By Ozarka brand, 100% natural spring water, born better. By Stanley Tools, more than great tools, Stanley makes something great. By Surprise, Arizona, defining vibrant Southwest living. By the Home Depot, more saving, more doing. And by Brookshires. Great people, great prices. Just a gorgeous night for baseball here in Surprise. The Rangers with, as always, that spring training-esque lineup. There will be guys that are really hot not playing. For example, Chris Davis, who, we talk about a hot tag. I mean, 11 for 15 at-bats right now for Chris Davis. And what a wonderful thing to report.
Yeah, you know, when you're a player that hot in spring training, you're kind of thinking to yourself, I really want to save some of these for the regular season. At the same time, a hitter loves to get in a groove and feel good about it, and he's right there right now.
Hotter than bacon grease is Chris Davis, and Justin Smoke over his right shoulder also getting a night off tonight. Matt Brown will be at first base instead. Here's the Giants batting order. It's brought to you by our friends at Stanley. Andres Torres, a one-time Ranger. Fred Lewis killed the Rangers last year with a big home run in San Francisco. Then one of the most fun players to watch in all of baseball, Pablo Kung Fu Panda Sandoval. John Bowker, former Ranger Mark DeRosa, super prospect Buster Posey. And then you've got Brandon Crawford, Nick Noonan, and Darren Ford to round it out. And we're very excited to tell you about Rich Harden on the mound. You've probably heard about him. He's got electric stuff. That is when he's actually on the mound. Since arriving in the big leagues in 03, Tag, he's got the most strikeouts per 9 innings of any starter in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that, because we've seen him on a number of occasions do that to the Rangers as a member of the Oakland A's. He's got an excellent fastball. You know, we talked in yesterday's ball game about pitchers going through a dead arm period at some point in time during spring training. Not sure where Rich is right now. We'll find out early in the ball game, but he's got a great fastball, really good changeup to go along with it. He'll mix in an occasional slider, an occasional splitter, but he's a dominating guy. The one thing Rich is going to work on and try to do is be a little more efficient with his pitches, pitch deeper into games, maybe cut down on the strikeouts a little bit by getting weak contact and getting some outs that way earlier in the counts, and we'll see how that works out.
17.7 pitches per inning last year, one of the highest totals in baseball. Roy Halladay, for example, was about 14, and that enabled him to go 6 innings in basically 95% of his starts. Rich Harden went 6 innings in about 55% of his starts, and that's, you're right, Tag, one thing the Rangers want to see him turn around.
And the good thing about Rich is he's one of those guys, there's a lot of pitchers who throw 92 to 96, and if they don't have their good fastball, then they suffer a little bit. Rich is a little bit different. When he doesn't have the velocity on his fastball, even if it's 89, 90 miles an hour, right around in there, his changeup is so good that he's still effective. So he still knows how to pitch, even on the days where he doesn't have his good fastball.
4 lefties in a row to get going. Andres Torres is the first one. Takes down and outside. 74 glorious game time degrees here in Surprise. And we'll talk a lot about Ranger pitching tonight. Mike Maddox, the Ranger pitching coach, well-regarded pitching coach, will join us around the 7th inning. We've got John Daniels, the Rangers GM, coming in the booth in a bit. Also to talk pitching and just kind of the state of the state. But we kind of mentioned it yesterday, Tom, during the broadcast with Rich Harden. This is, for the first time in a while, a situation where a Ranger pitching coach can look out there and say, I've got an ace. I mean, an actual bona fide #1 ace.
Oh, he's definitely got that type of stuff. There's no doubt about that.
Just a matter of keeping him healthy. He's going to miss here to Torres, the speedster. Although, to be fair about it, I guess, Tom, all the talk about Harden's inability to stay healthy, which is very much in bounds, but did you realize the last 2 years he has made the exact same number of starts as supposed workhorse John Lackey? It's 51 apiece.
Yeah, and you got to go farther than that, though, not just the starts. You got to go to innings pitched.
Yeah.
And I think to be a legitimate #1 starter, you have to be out there long enough to throw 195 to 210 innings, really. So I think in his case, it's not a matter of starts. It's a matter of how many innings you can put up, too.
Well, and he's pitched 150 in the majors just once in the last 6 years. So that is a concern. The Rangers have a plan to kind of squeeze more out of him. Fred Lewis turns on one, drives it. Boy, he did that to Scott Feldman last year to win a ball game. He's done it to Harden in the first inning of a spring training game. A walk and a homer to begin Rich Harden's time. And just like that, 2-0 San Francisco. That's 3 spring training homers already for a guy who's not really known for his pop, Fred Lewis.
It looked like Lewis got a pretty good pitch to hit right there. Looks like a high changeup. Get a better look at it right here. Not that bad a pitch. Pretty tough pitch to pull and keep fair. Was on the inside part of the plate.
There's a big rip by the 5'11", 260-pound Sandoval. There's a look at the Lewis home run. Up past the berm towards the parking lot. The Giants, we won't talk a lot about them tonight, but they've got 2 things going for them. They've got pitching and the Panda. This guy at the plate right now. The rotation's outstanding, and they do have a budding, fun-loving superstar in this third baseman, Pablo Sandoval.
Well, Sandoval, 23 years old. His first taste of the big leagues was a couple of years ago. He hit .345 in about 150 at bats, and then last year, as a regular, first full season, he hit .333.
Slaps that one towards left. Hamilton coming on. He's going to lock it up. Giants manager Bruce Bochy has compared Sandoval to Manny Sanguillen. Just another great bad ball hitter. And Bochy remembers the kind of infectious joy that Sanguillen used to bring to that Pirates clubhouse. And that's exactly what he's got with Sandoval, too. He keeps it light, keeps it fun. Giants did okay last year. They were actually a game better than the Rangers. They won 88. Off-speed strike to John Bowker. Again, the change-up, and that's too high. The Rangers, yeah, 87 wins a year ago. And as Michael Young said, we've gone from hoping to win to expecting to win now. Michael is certainly ready to win. The face of the franchise, he has signed up for several more years.
One thing that makes Rich very tough to hit and leads to a lot of strikeouts is his ability to throw his changeup or his splitter, his off-speed pitch, anytime. I think he feels as confident throwing that for a strike as he does his fastball, sometimes even more. I think there's times where he'll throw a 2-0 or a 2-1 changeup, and you'll say, boy, that's good pitch selection, throwing something the hitter's not looking for, and that's part of it. The other part of it is he wants to throw a strike and has as much confidence that he can do it with that pitch as he does his fastball.
17th pitch of the inning is a beaut. Strikes out John Bowker. And again with Harden, it is very much about the strikeouts. Last year, the most strikeouts per 9 innings of anybody in baseball, as we mentioned. More than Tim Lincecum, more than Verlander, Greinke, you name it. Former Ranger fan favorite Mark DeRosa has been on the National League Central Champion team 2 years in a row. First the Cubs and then the Cardinals. And if one of the complaints about the Giants, Tom, is that they're just too free swinging of a group, Mark DeRosa might give some ballast to that. He's a guy that definitely knows how to work a count. That's something the Rangers want to get better at, too. We have talked already from the broadcast yesterday about some of the stats from last year that the Rangers just don't even want to look at. The on-base percentage was simply too low. Guys were getting up their first pitch swinging a lot. Good off-speed pitch there to square it up full, 3-2.
I mentioned that Harden does throw a slider. And a lot of times he'll throw a changeup that looks like a slider. Comes out of his hand in a way that actually breaks like a slider. Another thing that makes him tough to hit. You don't know exactly what his changeup is going to do. That looked like a definite slider right there.
Stayed up, and Mark DeRosa coaxes the walk.
Looked pretty close to being a strike, too.
Got a young umpiring crew and only a 3-man umpiring crew tonight. The umpiring crews are spread kind of thin because there are a lot of split squad situations going on. That means that, for example, half the Giants team is playing here, half of them down the road against San Diego right now. And you need to spread out the umpires for all those games, so it's a 3-man crew. All 3 of these guys are ticketed for AAA. The snap throw from Saltalamacchia. And you bet we'll spend some time talking about the Rangers catching situation tonight. Good to see Salty back and actually able to throw a baseball.
Salty was talking today about his arm, and when you get the situation that he had where you had to break the adhesion, it was a significant amount of pain. He was a little bit worried about it, but said it felt great in yesterday's game. Feels good right now, so that's good to see.
Buster Posey bounces out. That will end the inning. Fred Lewis homers, makes it 2-0, and we'll say hello to Julio Bourbon. He'll be up in 2 minutes. Giants leading 2-0. Now here come the Rangers. It'll be Bourbon, Young, and Hamilton to get the Rangers in gear tonight. They've got a record of 4-6-1 so far in spring training. And checking out the entire starting lineup for the Rangers, again brought to you by Stanley Tools. After Bourbon and Young and Hamilton, the biggest addition to the Rangers offensively, that's Vlad Guerrero. Nelson Cruz and Matt Brown. Matt Brown, just like Vlad Guerrero, is a former Angels right-handed slugger, but obviously flies way below the radar. Doesn't have those 407 big league home runs like Big Bad Vlad. Joaquin Arias in for the injured Ian Kinsler. Ian's going to be out about another week. Jared Saltalamacchia and Elvis Andrus, and you've talked about him already, Tag. Here's Madison Bumgarner, only 20 years old. Look at those minor league numbers. That's incredible.
Every stop of his career, and it's been a brief career, his ERA has been under 2. That was 10 innings at the big league level included last year, but 27-5 with a 1.65 ERA. He's a high school kid. He drafted out of high school in North Carolina. And it's very unusual for a high school kid to progress that quickly through the minor leagues. And while he's there, walk.
Whoa.
Nice play.
Kung Fu Panda got him. Julio Bourbon is out. Sandoval obviously doesn't have that classic ball player build. He's not what you'd call wiry, but he can get in the way of a baseball.
Yeah, he's playing in, guarding against the bunt, and Julio slapped it that way, and for what looked like a double, but he made a nice quick reflex to that and made a play. But Bumgarner in the minor leagues walks less than 2 batters per 9 innings. That's pretty amazing.
Slides it in there for a strike to Michael Young. I think that the Giants-Dodgers rivalry tag is going to have a fun new wrinkle pretty soon. You'll have 21-year-old Clayton Kershaw against 20-year-old Madison Bumgarner. Kid's a terrific athlete. He had a grand slam in Double-A last year, one of 3 home runs that he hit.
I like the note that the Giants have in their media guide. In his last high school game for the state championship, he had an inside the park home run to win the state championship. I assume he was on the mound for that game, but yeah, they've got a great young pitcher here and a tremendous young catcher too. Buster Posey was the 5th pick in the draft a couple of years ago. Probably, now that Matt Wieters is in the big leagues, the best catching prospect in the minor leagues.
Yeah, the top 2 prospects for the Giants. You're looking at them right here on your TV screen. It's the Giants battery, Buster Posey and Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, it's possible to have, well, you're going to have, every organization has their top 2 prospects. Sometimes they compete well when you grade throughout Major League Baseball. These kids do. These are in the top probably 25 kids in all of baseball. And Posey has a pretty good chance to make the team too, it looks like.
On the ground is short. That is Brandon Crawford, barely in time to get Michael Young. It's been a solid spring training for Michael, though. He's now 9 for 20 with that ground out. So now Josh Hamilton, who homered in the first inning yesterday, fulfilling a promise he made to his 9-year-old daughter before the game. His daughter turning 9 yesterday, and told her, I'm going to hit you a home run. First swing, got it.
Not quite up there with the Babes call a long time ago, but pretty nice nevertheless.
With no birthdays today, this is simply a first pitch ground out. And Madison Bumgarner is indeed out of the inning pretty quickly. 2-0 San Francisco at the end of 1. '29-year-old Rich Harden, the native Canadian guy with a big-time fastball, mixes in a slider, that plus circle change that he can throw to both sides of the plate. Blazed to the big leagues at the age of 21. And as we've talked about, has kind of showed signs of abject domination. Just hasn't been able to stay completely healthy. One of his injuries was suffered pitching against the Rangers. That was back in 2006. Strained a muscle in his side, trying to field a comebacker by the immortal Phil Nevin. Brandon Crawford, Nick Noonan, and Darren Ford to face him here, top of the 2nd. There is a plan, I guess you can say, Mr. Grieve, about how to keep Rich Harden healthy and out there. Occasionally the Rangers are going to give him an extra day of rest, they say.
Well, Rich had talked in the offseason after he joined the Rangers about a workout program that he developed last year that he's kind of fine-tuned and feels really good about the way he's conditioning himself. I think in the past he may have felt like he lifted weights a little too much, but right now he's found a good plan and he's feeling good and he's healthy.
We just took care of Brandon Crawford. You saw Ron Washington, and yeah, Wash was with Rich Harden in Oakland. Of course, Wash was a coach there for many years. That's one of the big things that Ron Washington says is, you know, Rich Harden is just no other way to say it, very proud of his body. And it took him a while to realize that being sculpted isn't necessarily as important as making sure you can pitch 180 innings.
Well, if he's in better shape to pitch right now, it doesn't look like his body has suffered at all.
No, I mean,
he still looks great.
When he's up there against, for example, Sandoval, I mean, it's game, set, match. But if the Rangers get 180 innings out of him, they'd be real happy. And I think you hit on the biggest thing, Tag. I mean, part of that is you put guys away and not waste pitches. 14 or 15 pitches an inning instead of 18. That will add some innings to your odometer. Noonan, right center field. The lefty swinging second baseman Nick Noonan is going to try to go to third base. Arias with the relay throw too late. That's another on the prospect list for the San Francisco Giants, taken out of high school in the San Diego area just a couple of years ago. They got him slotted for Double-A this year. First time they brought him to a spring training game last year, Tag, they, just one of those extra players. They ran him out there in the 9th inning against the Cubs. Hit the walk-off grand slam.
Wow. Pretty good thrill for a kid scheduled to go to the minor leagues.
So the one-out triple for Noonan, and that brings up Darren Ford.
One of the reasons Rich throws a lot of pitches is it's hard to make contact against him. The changeup is not the kind of pitch that is a pitch to contact kind of pitch. T.R. Sullivan had a great article on the Ranger website today about the cut fastball and how many pitchers throw the cut fastball. That's a pitch that's designed not for a swing and a miss, but to hit the bad part of the bat. You throw it into the opposite side and you get the ball in on the fists, or you throw it to a right-hand hitter as a right-hand pitcher and he hits it off the end of the bat. But you get some contact, weak contact, and you're able to get some easy outs that way. But the pitches Rich throw are tough to hit, and so he gets a lot of swings and misses instead of that weak contact.
Sac fly gets it done for Darren Ford. Another guy that's slotted for Double-A this year. Cashes in Nick Noonan.
That was some kind of swing at a bad pitch right there to keep that. This looks like it's going to go foul if you just watch the swing in the ball. Just kind of hacked at it. I thought the ball was over the first base dugout and looked up, and the ball was fair to right field. Got the job done though.
Back to the top of the order, Andres Torres pops up a bunt. Yeah, that is good reading. You mentioned the article from TR on the Rangers website. Of course, that cutter is what really helped sculpt Scott Feldman last year into being a 17-game winner. Brandon McCarthy now is with that cutter program. Doug Mathis is the latest to try to add one. We're going to see him feature that when he gets out there tonight, as a matter of fact. He's supposed to follow Harden. And it's not like Mike Maddox brought that, in a big bag from Milwaukee and said, here, everybody, I've got something brand new for you to try. The cutter's been around long before Mike Maddox has championed that certain pitch. But, boy, it worked for Feldman. And I think off of that, a lot of other guys are saying, I might want to get a piece of that, too.
Yeah, Scott was throwing the cutter before Mike got here. That was a pitch he already had.
Wave and a miss by Torres. Gets Harden out of the inning. 3-zip San Francisco. Spring training, surprise Arizona. Real nice night for baseball tonight. There is nothing in sports. It has been written quite recently. John Feinstein wrote it. Nothing in sports that makes the old feel young or the pessimistic feel optimistic like spring training. A lot to sort out for pretty much every ball club out there. And it all unfolds where the fans have access to it. You get real close to your heroes and to the guys that aren't yet your heroes, but might be someday.
Well, there's no other sport where you can go to a spring training exhibition game. I guess you wouldn't call it spring training, but whether it's preseason football, basketball, hockey, soccer, you name it, nowhere can you go and bring your family and put a blanket down, lie down out in the outfield, watch a game, and have a couple of soft drinks and some nachos. It just is unique to baseball.
Vlad Guerrero grounds out. Now 5 for 21 in Rangers spring training.
Twice today, early in the morning, when I went out for a jog, I saw a father and his son playing catch in our parking lot. Then later in the day, when I got back to the hotel, I saw two men in their 40s or 50s playing catch out in the parking lot.
I saw those same two dudes, as a matter of fact.
You just don't see that in other sports. They don't lend themselves to the same type of activities as you see in preseason baseball, or baseball during the season for that matter, when you play a game every day.
Nelson Cruz tattoos one deep center field. To the track, to the wall. Gone up on the berm.
Well, that was a rope.
And that's the perfect capper to what you're talking about with spring training, too. A guy in board shorts and bare feet runs out there and grabs a Nelson Cruz home run. First of the year for Nelly Cruz. Of course, he hit 33 in the regular season last year, and he's going to be counted on to do a lot of that here in 2010.
It's a pretty good fastball to hit, and that's not a good spot to throw Nelly, that's for sure. Bumgarner has only given up 9 home runs in his minor league career in almost 280 innings. But he hasn't faced Nelly Cruz very many times in the minor leagues either.
Guy caught a tasty wave out there and a Nelson Cruz home run ball.
Now, you don't see in other sports where families plan vacations around spring training, watching their favorite team. There's a lot of families that come for spring break. There's other adults whose children are grown that come and spend the whole month here to watch spring training, go all over Arizona to watch baseball. I see Ranger fans here. They're going to be here for a couple of weeks.
You can hit 16 teams now out of here.
It's great. With the split squad games that you see now, no matter where you are in this area, you're probably within 10 minutes of a ball game, either in the daytime or the nighttime.
As long as you don't hit the traffic on Grand Avenue or Bell Road, I mean, really, you can get within 20 to maybe 40 minutes from where we're sitting right here to maybe 7 different ballparks.
Yeah.
Matt Brown smokes one foul.
I think I've only been here a couple of days, and I've already talked to 2 couples who are here for the first time, and both of them have said, if we had any idea it was this much fun, we'd have been coming down here for the last 10 years.
Also, it's like Disneyland for baseball fans. You know, there's a lot going on. Check some reliant power numbers right now for the Rangers, and Matt Brown is up on this list of guys with extra base hits. Nelly Cruz now has the 3 doubles and a home run. Same for David Murphy. Matt Brown has a couple doubles, a triple, and a home run. And now he's got a walk.
And one of the things that appeals to the Rangers about Matt Brown is the success he's had facing left-handers. That's probably why he's in there tonight.
His old organization, the Angels, have used a guy like that for years as their 25th man, Rob Quinlan. And that's possibly what the Rangers could have with Matt Brown. I think the reason he's playing first base tonight, we've seen him at third base. Ron Washington has kind of checked him out over there, but to make this team, he's got to play some first base as well. And this is the first time Wash has a chance to look at him there. There's another guy fighting for what could be a final roster spot. Joaquin Arias is out of minor league options. So in the words of Elvis, not Andrews, but other Elvis, it's now or never for Joaquin Arias. And he has said to the reporters this year, it's my time. And he's got to prove to Ron Washington that he deserves to be on the club. Into right field. And Torres has got it for the out.
If you go back several years before Joaquin hurt his arm, he was a top prospect. It looked like not only would he get to the big leagues, but he'd have a chance to get to the big leagues as a regular shortstop. And the thing that's held him back over the last couple of years has just been the arm injury and the fact that it just hasn't come around until now to show the strength which leads you to believe he could play shortstop. But he's made some good progress, and it's feeling better right now. And so I don't think that's a factor as far as whether or not he has a chance to make the team. I think his arm is strong enough now to where if he shows that he plays well enough, then he may have a chance to make the team.
Speaking of getting a shoulder healthy, Jared Saltalamacchia, whose season was cut short last year, had that thoracic outlet syndrome. It was later discovered. On the ground towards short, slowly hit. Quick release. Is he on the bag? Yes. Nicely done at second base. Nick Noonan able to just drag that toe to make it so. The Rangers get a run back on a Nelly Cruz bomb. 3-1 at the end of 2. 3-1 San Francisco. We are 3 weeks away from opening day, and folks, tickets regularly priced up to $25 will be only $10 for opening week, excluding opening day. You got a Wednesday game against Toronto, a Thursday afternoon game against Toronto, a weekend series against Seattle. To take advantage of that offer that you see on the screen, enter opening week as the coupon code at TexasRangers.com. Looking forward to seeing you at the ballpark. Attendance was up last year. TV ratings were up last year. Interest in the ball club was up in 2009. And the Rangers simply need to keep that going. Remember in 2004 when they caught that kind of feel-good vibe, 2005 ended up being a letdown. So the goal, very simply, going from 09 into 10, keep the good times rolling. One of the big additions to help make that so is on the mound here. Rich Harden missing with a fastball outside. That fastball's been sitting kind of 90, 91-ish in this game so far. Lewis, who homered earlier, is going to float that one towards center. That is not Marlon Byrd anymore in center. That is Julio Bourbon, and well, the Rangers feel real good about that, even though they're obviously going to miss Marlon Byrd.
Well, Julio came up to the big leagues last year and actually had a higher on base percentage in the big leagues than he did in the minor leagues. It was in the 360s in the minor leagues, and it was mid 370s when he got to the big leagues. So he really made a great impression offensively, and he's worked hard with Gary Pettis on his defense. It's kind of a daily thing for him, working on his throwing. And Gary has said it's not a matter of arm strength, it's just a matter of accuracy. You want to be able to hit the cutoff man out there, make accurate throws. He gets to the ball quickly, which helps a lot with his speed. He's got a good work ethic, outstanding athletic ability, and with that athletic ability combined with his work ethic and the teacher that he's got in Gary Pettis, he should be the kind of guy that gets better and better as the season goes on. He'll be better halfway through the season than he will be when it starts.
There's one of those great big hacks that you know and love from Pablo Sandoval. And Saltalamacchia makes a catch in foul ground. Talking about whether or not he could see it in the twilight. And the lights are on here at the stadium right now.
Yeah, this is the twilight where they have the tough sky. It's kind of a gray sky, and the baseball's been rubbed to a color that's very similar. When it goes up, it blends in with the sky, and a lot of times it is hard to see. You have the outfielders sometimes yell into the infielders on pop-ups, keep coming because I might not see it.
John Bowker, a strikeout victim in the first inning. Well, Tom, you were talking about Bourbon, and indeed, I mean, you say a full-time hello to Bourbon. That means you say a full-time goodbye to Marlon Byrd. That was a tough goodbye. The Marlon was a pros pro in his time with the Rangers, not to mention a fan favorite. But Marlon's 32, Julio is 24. Marlon's making $5 grand a year. Bourbon, 1/12 of that.
Yeah, there's two different ways to look at that. One is the Rangers would love to have kept Marlon, but the finances weren't there. The other side of it is you've got a young kid like Julio who's ready to play in the big leagues. He showed the last 150 at bats last year. When he hit over 300, his on-base percentage was 376. And those are the kind of changes that teams make because they make sense. You've got a young player who's making the minimum salary, who has a chance to be an outstanding leadoff hitter, get better and better, and be a guy that you can help build your offense around. In Marlon's case, he did a fine job here. You'd love to see him stay here. But with Josh in left and Nelly Cruz in right, you could also make a case, even if the finances were there, that it might not have been in your best interest to spend $15 million on Marlon when you've got Julio ready to play in the outfield. Those are the kind of moves you like to see made.
Unable to get this one that just kind of plops down in front of him. Arias went back where Bone came on, and it went right in between them.
They make sense financially, but they also make sense from a baseball standpoint. I think teams constantly, it's important to constantly inject youth into your lineup so your team doesn't get old all at once.
Sure.
When you've got top young prospects who are ready to play in the big leagues, finding them a spot to play is important.
Some pressure with wearing that number 29 in the outfield. That's Rusty's number, so you got to wear it proudly and become a popular individual. But I think Julio will have nary a problem doing that.
No, I don't think so either. As long as he doesn't run into the walls like Rusty did.
Rusty's here with the Rangers right now. He's going to spend the whole week as a guest instructor. Mark McLemore went from the studio yesterday to doing the same thing here today. Mac and Rusty are both lending what they can lend this next week. It's kind of an extra set of eyeballs for Ron Washington. Mark DeRosa up over top.
Toward the end of spring training, Gino Petralli will be coming down, helping out with the catchers, and Ruben Sierra is going to be coming down too. That's great for Ruben to come down here and spend a week with the ball club.
And his son, because
that's right.
Ruben Jr. is now Ranger property. Also going to Chicago, you may be aware, is longtime Ranger hitting coach Rudy Jaramillo. And you're looking at one of Rudy's prized pupils right there. Mark DeRosa really turned his career around under the tutelage of Rudy with the Rangers. High fly ball down that left field line. Hamilton finds it. Got it. And Rich Harden at about 55 pitches through 3 innings. Off the mound, out of the inning. It stays 3-1 San Francisco. We'll be right back. Very nice of Jared. Takes him 4 times longer to sign his autograph than Ed Ott.
That's a good point. Not that easy to go through your fan mail when your name's that long.
Got 20 letters to navigate. Although I've seen that autograph, it's more of a creative swirl.
I think that's pretty much the way it is nowadays. You can take an autographed baseball of any team in baseball, even if you know the players who were on that team, and you'll be hard pressed to read 10 of them.
I don't blame Salty though. Poor guy would have carpal tunnel syndrome if he did every letter. Not that Madison Bumgarner's an easy autograph either. He's going to pitch to Andrews, who takes high.
If you go back 40 or 50 years, maybe not even that much, and you look at an autographed baseball, you can read every name. The Hall of Famers from way back, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Stan Musial, Bob Feller, you name them, had perfect penmanship when you went to read their name. It's gotten to the point now where you see a lot of people when they go to get an autograph. Would you write your name and put your number next to it as a way to identify who it actually is?
The further erosion of our society, Tom.
No, they all want to be doctors.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm going with societal erosion, but anyway, 2-1 the count to Andrews. What a fantastic first year he had. Jumping up from Double-A right to the major leagues, and as it turned out, John Daniels underpromised and over-delivered on what we would see with Elvis last year. He was indeed a walking highlight film, but also one of the most intelligent, disciplined hitters the Rangers had at the ripe old age of 20.
The other thing he did about the middle of May, Ron Washington had a little discussion with him about careless defensive plays. He became very steady defensively. And when you've got a young shortstop like that, who's got that kind of talent, you're not surprised to see the spectacular plays. But I think one thing the Rangers had to be very pleased with was how steady he was. You want your shortstop at the big league level to make all the routine plays. And, you know, after maybe a little bit of a learning experience the first 30 or 40 games, that's exactly what he was from then on.
Sounds like he broke his bat. And the ball ends up caught in center field by Ford. You know, with Elvis, of his 22 errors last year, Tag, 14 of them were throwing errors. That's the most throwing errors in the entire American League. And that's the kind of thing that Ron Washington and Elvis agree that, you know, that's fixable. Only 8 fielding errors as a 20-year-old in the big leagues.
And most of those throwing errors came early, too. And Bumgarner's an interesting guy. When you talk about a high draft choice who zips through the minor leagues with a 1.65 ERA, is on the verge of making a major league team at age 20, you would expect to see a guy throwing 95 miles an hour, maybe having a little bit of a control problem, talking about what a great arm he has. He has to harness it a little bit, throw a few more strikes. But just watching Bumgarner tonight, that's not the kind of guy he is. He's a kid that really knows how to pitch for a 20-year-old. As we said earlier, he walks less than 2 per 9 innings in the minor leagues. And that's when he was 18 and 19. And he's got plenty of fastball. It's not, at least today, 96 or 97, but it's 89 to 92-ish, right around in there. But he has a real good idea of how to pitch, where to locate his pitches.
He's got that tall, athletic body, kind of a smooth arm action. Some of the scouts are looking at him. They see a young Chuck Finley. Julio Bourbon is on. Let's see if he wants to run around a little bit now. Buster Posey is a very strong deterrent to a running game, that young catcher. Knowing Ron Washington, he does want to run, just in general. Rangers stole close to 150 bases last year. Second most in the majors and the most steals by a Rangers team since 1978. Bump Wills and Bobby Bonds on that team, and noted speedster Jim Sundberg on that team. Actually, Sonny led the team in triples that year on a team with Toby Harrah and Campy Campaneris and Bump Wills. Only Sonny had as many as 6 triples in 1978. So
that's a lot of triples.
Yep, for a catcher. He wore number 10, wore it well. Michael Young does it now. And you and I have talked about this in passing, but there's going to come a time, Tag, there's got to be a time down the road where the Rangers retire that number, and they'll probably have to split it for Michael Young and Jim Sundberg.
That's been done before. I couldn't give you the exact names, but I know the Yankees have done it at least once.
Bill Dickey and Yogi Berra,
yeah,
I think.
I think you're right. I saw where Omar Vizquel is going to wear Louis Aparicio's number in Chicago this year.
Yeah, number 11. Omar will be missed around here, if for no other reason for the wardrobe.
And the thing, he is very flashy, no doubt about it. The thing I'll miss about him is his attitude.
Yeah.
And how upbeat he is. I mean, he gets on the bus. He used to take the bus, one of the few players that is on the bus when we're sitting there. And he's the kind of guy that when he walks by, you see the energy, and it just makes you feel better every time you bumped into him. And I'll miss that about him.
Perpetual smile.
He really was.
And a heck of a player, too. Going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. Michael Young, base hit right field. That's just a vintage Michael Young 2-strike delivery right there, rolling it into right. And now Josh Hamilton comes up. He's got a chance to give the Rangers a lead.
That's frustrating for a pitcher to make that kind of a pitch and end up giving up a base hit. Pretty much threw that pitch exactly where he wanted to. It's down and away. Maybe a strike, probably a little bit outside, and Michael's still able to slap that ball into right field for a base hit.
Fourth Major League spring training for Josh Hamilton, and usually he has a great spring training. Yesterday, his first home run of the spring of 2010. First pitch he saw yesterday, matter of fact. He went Carrabba's Italian Grill. Ooh, did that hit him?
Boy, hit him in the forearm.
I mean, you're hoping it just got forearm. Oh, man.
Yeah, he's holding his wrist.
Yeah, that will load the bases, but that will also give you major concern. Josh has already had a shoulder issue come up this spring, and that was navigated fairly easily after about a week.
Thought it hit higher up near his elbow. Might have been one of those that hit near the elbow and near his funny bone and caused his arm to go numb. You know, somewhere up halfway between his elbow and his wrist. That's not good.
Brandon Boggs is going to run for him. Yeah, where it hit, I think you're right, Tom. Like right in between that wrist and that elbow, maybe closer to the wrist. And
yeah, that last shot looked like it did get his wrist. You know, they've come out with a new batting glove now that has a lot of padding on it to protect. I don't know if it would have protected against that one. I think over the years you'll see players starting to wear them. The traditional batting glove helps a little bit, but it doesn't have much padding in it. The smile is good.
Smile's a great sign. But
that's a real good sign.
All right, here's Vlad Guerrero with the bases loaded. And forgive me if I sound a little giddy. I know it's just spring training, but I'll take you back to Josh Hamilton and get the freeze frame look at it.
Vlad today in the last round of batting practice was wound up. He hit 5 straight balls that looked like the ball would be crushed in half out of the ballpark to left field. And then on his last swing, he took about 2 steps toward the pitcher and lined a shot off the top of the right field wall, like went the other way with it. And they just kind of left the cage smiling, and everybody else was just kind of shaking their heads at him.
Can you imagine if you were allowed to do that in a game situation? You start sprinting towards the pitcher.
That's what it looked like.
Like that Happy Gilmore golf swing. Lunging for that one, he's going to pop it down the right field line. Foul ground. It's a long run over there, and it is caught on the run. Torres. And his throw too late to get Bourbon. It's a sac fly. Both runners move up. 3-2. The 8-time All-Star Vlad Guerrero doesn't put it in play, but he does get a run home.
So that's one of those good base running plays. The runner on first base was able to tag up when he saw the throw come home. If you're the right fielder on that play and you know that Bourbon's at third base, you're not going to throw him out at the plate. And so what you want to do is throw the ball to second base to keep the guy on first base out of scoring position. The guy at second's going to tag up, go to third. There's nothing you can do about that. But when the throw comes home, the alert runner at first, with Gary Pettis coaching first, who I'm sure screamed tag up, saw where the ball went and easily trotted into second.
Nelson Cruz has a chance to give the Rangers a lead right now. He's already hit about a 430-foot home run in this game.
Gary's an excellent coach to begin with, but especially base running. I love every homestand at least once go down there and stand with them and just talk base running with them. And you think you know a lot until you talk to someone like that and you start learning little things about base running that, you know, geez, I've been around here a long time. It never even occurred to me. So he has a lot of wisdom to impart on the base runners.
Nelly was with Gary Pettis for 2 years in AAA in the Brewers organization. Gary was a hitting coach at Nashville. Gary Pettis with, let's see, Prince Fielder and Nelson Cruz in his tutelage. And he's teaching base running, not power hitting. Patiently working the count to 3-0, and Nelly takes up and outside. The Rangers will have the bases loaded again. And Matt Brown set to come up.
3 walks for Bumgarner in 3 innings. Very unusual, at least based on what he's done in the minor leagues. The one thing he hasn't done in spring anyway is strike anybody out. He's working on his 7th inning without a strikeout.
Matt Brown spent the first 8 seasons of his pro career in the Angels organization, one-time 10th round pick out of high school in Idaho.
Now, these are the little opportunities for a guy trying to make a ball club where you can really make an impression. Hit a rope somewhere and knock in a few runs, and that'll catch the manager's eye.
Got a good swing right there. Initial report from the training staff is just a bruise for Josh Hamilton, by the way.
Kind of got a hint at that when we saw the big smile that he had, but it's nice to have that confirmed.
One strike pitch to Brown. He's going to lace it into left field. Base hit. 1 run in. Brandon Boggs jams on the brakes. Nelly Cruz has to scramble back to second. He did. And the bases are still loaded and the game is tied.
Well, there's those opportunities for a kid trying to make the ball club, and takes a great swing, hits a rope. He only got one RBI because he hit it so hard. No way that the guy could score from second. That was Brandon Boggs.
And Mark DeRosa, the former Ranger, made that nice charge on the ball to get it back in. But yeah, Matt Brown, again, right on that bubble. If this was the college basketball tournament, he'd be Virginia Tech. Any little advantage he can grab right now, he's got to. Joaquin Arias trying to make a name for himself. Going to rock one into center. Caught right in front of the Royals logo. Man.
He gave it a 400-foot ride with nothing to show for it.
Darren Ford is known in Giants circles as being their best defensive outfielder. He got on his motorcycle, went and got it. And Arias is denied. The Rangers, though, tie it with 2 in the third. It's 3-3 at the end of 3. Three runs, 3 hits both ways at the end of 3. And the Home Depot presenting, doing more on defense. The organization that had Willie Mays run him down for all those years. Well, this is not Willie Mays, but that's a pretty good catch by Darren Ford for sure. Ron Washington was talking the other day about having met Willie Mays back in the day. Probably the best all-around baseball player of all time, says Wash. 12-time Gold Glover, but remember that award wasn't even created till 1957. Willie Mays broke in 5 years before that. So had the award been around the whole time, probably would have been a 17-time Gold Glover. Buster Posey, one of the super prospects for the Giants, fouls it off his foot. And Brandon Boggs stays in the game playing left. Remember, Josh Hamilton had to leave with a bruised wrist.
Yeah, we're talking about Madison Bumgarner's quick ascent to the big leagues through the minor leagues. Posey's on the way to doing the same thing. He's a college player, a little bit different. But in a short time in the minor leagues, he's put up some great numbers. I think one of the things they like is he's got about as many strikeouts, as many walks as strikeouts. So he is a patient hitter as well as an average hitter. College player of the year.
There are some in the Giants organization that say he right now is a better 2-strike hitter than anyone else they've got on the major league roster.
Wow, pretty nice compliment.
He's 22. 5th overall pick in 08. And probably not since Will Clark or maybe Matt Williams have they had a hitting prospect who's been so eagerly anticipated.
Well, they've also got Benji Molina, who's a guy that hit in the middle of their lineup. And so he's really going to have to play well to beat out Benji Molina.
Good off-speed pitch from Rich Harden. Gets another strikeout. Seems like Rich is settling down a bit.
Well, he walked the leadoff hitter, and then Lewis got a pitch up and hit a home run, and bang, it's 2-0 right off the bat. And since that time he's thrown well. It's 4 strikeouts now.
One of the strikeout victims coming up right here, Brandon Crawford. You talked about it earlier, Tag, with Rich Harden. I mean, the bottom line is it's just tough to make contact against him. In fact, only 67% of the time last year did a big league hitter make contact when he swung at a Rich Harden pitch. That was the best such percentage in the game.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to look at Rich Harden and say, here's a guy that's going to pitch to contact.
Right, you don't want that.
You know, that's a kind of a phrase that we hear more and more of the last few years, pitch to contact. And it doesn't mean just throw a pitch that the guy can hit, because you have to pitch to contact, but what you want is the result to be is weak contact. You don't want to throw a pitch right down the middle and have some guy juice it on you. That's pitching to contact. But what the pitcher wants is to make a good pitch that's put in play and turns into a slowly hit ground ball or a soft fly ball and turns into a quick out, so that you don't have to throw all the pitches that it would take to strike someone out. But as we've been alluding to with Rich, he's really not that kind of guy, because his pitches are tough to make contact with.
The Rangers essentially have 4 other guys in the rotation that do roll the other way.
But they should be, yep.
Yep, Rich Harden is kind of the counterpoint to that.
But at the same time, it's nice to have a guy like Rich, a strikeout guy. That's why you talk about the stuff that he has being the caliber of a #1 starter. When you put him with his good stuff against any team in baseball, you know you got a chance to go out there and have a low-scoring game. And getting the strikeouts helps you avoid the days where there is weak contact, but the little ground balls are finding holes and the bloopers are falling in, and the other team just seems to have it going their way, and they end up having a pretty good day offensively. With Rich and his good stuff, you don't see a lot of bloopers or a lot of cheap ground balls because they're usually swings and misses.
Got a 2-0 change there to Noonan, who has probably avoided all the Caddyshack references because he was born after the movie came out, I would think, but he's already tripled off of Harden tonight.
I wouldn't be surprised. Here's a situation. 2-0, he threw him a changeup for a strike. Now it's 3-1. He just missed with his fastball. It wouldn't be a surprise to see him throw another changeup right here, because sometimes he feels like that's a pitch he can throw for a strike even better than his fastball. So
we've seen him kind of dabble with that all night. 2-0, 3-1.
There's a fastball. Good fastball. Down. Not much you could do with it.
Now, pitching to contact here wouldn't be the worst thing ever, right? I mean, you got a chance anyway to maybe turn 2.
Yeah, and again, you need to stress when you say pitch to contact, it doesn't mean just throw a pitch that the guy can hit. Throw a good pitch that when he does hit it, it's not hit hard.
Saw a lot of that with Scott Feldman last year. Scott only had one game where he struck out more than 7 batters. I mean, most games he was striking out 3 or 4, and that was fine.
Yeah, and he had plenty of games where he struck out 3 or 4, and you can look at the performance and say that was dominating, right? Because a lot of the balls that were put in play resulted in broken bats. They weren't hit that hard.
There's the contact, but the runner was going to stay out of the double play. 4-3 ground out. Darren Ford comes up next. Doug Mathis is warming in the bullpen, and with Rich Harden's pitch count getting up there, let's see if this is it or not. And Mike Maddox is on the way out. That's 70 pitches for Harden.
Yeah, they're pretty strict in spring training, especially this stage of spring training. You know, you'd say, well, just let him get the last batter. Well, if the last batter takes 7 or 8 pitches and you've gone from a pitch limit of 65 up to 77 or 78, then you're stretching it more than you want. So I'm sure Mike went out because he's right at his pitch limit. Say, how do you feel? I feel great. Okay, fine. Go get the next hitter.
So Mathis will be tabled. We'll see him in the 5th inning if indeed Ford is retired here.
We're talking about Scott Feldman and pitching to contact. I think there's times as a hitter you'd almost rather swing and miss than swing at a cutter, hit it about 2 inches above your hands, break your bat, hurt your thumbs, and hit a little dribbler back to the mound.
And look stupid in front of all your friends.
That does not feel good. It's embarrassing. It hurts. It's an out. Take a good swing and swing and miss. At least your hands don't hurt.
Whacked into center field. Bourbon will charge it. Fire in. It's too late. It is now 4-3 San Francisco. Now the bottom of this order, the 2 guys ticketed for Double-A, Noonan and Ford. Doing a pretty nice job in this one. Couple of runs batted in between them. To the top of the order, and Andres Torres. Runner goes. And it gets right away from Saltalamacchia. That's an easy steal for Darren Ford. There's a lot going on right there at the plate.
Salty was trying to get in position to make the throw, and the pitch was so far inside he couldn't get the glove on it. I think it clicked off the top of his glove.
Officially now a contusion for Josh Hamilton. They went in, took x-rays. They were negative. So we'll call it a wrist bruise. Change up a good one, 1-2. And you're to be forgiven if you don't remember Torres as a Ranger. He had 19 at bats for him 5 years ago.
Good. Are you talking to me?
No, just in general, but if the shoe fits, you know.
Well, I'm not going to declare then. I'm going to let people wonder.
Oh yeah, Torres. I remember every one of those 19 at bats. He had his first opportunity with the Tigers the year they lost 119. They were giving a lot of people opportunities that year.
Is Andres the guy that A-Rod wanted us to acquire?
That is correct. Yep.
Now I remember.
Whatever happened to A-Rod?
Who's A-Rod dating now?
Why are you looking at me?
You usually know that kind of stuff.
I'm not TMZ. Note to self, explain what TMZ is to tag in between innings. All right, God.
Actually, when I flip stations at night, I catch that every now and then.
I'm sorry. Just stay off of that.
I don't know what it stands for, but I know what the show is.
Torres rips that one to right field. But down for another San Francisco base hit. It's now 5-3 Giants. And Darren Ford coming around and in. And I think that is going to be it. It will be it now for Rich Harden.
You see this a lot in spring training as well, where your starter is trying to get a few pitches in, build up arm strength, and the last couple of batters, he's starting to get tired, gets the pitch up, and ends up giving a couple of hits. You see that quite a bit.
Yeah, well into the 70s here for a pitch count, which for mid-March, that's kind of high. That's good. It's good that he wants to keep on keeping on. But now he's done. And Doug Mathis will come on. 5-3 San Francisco when we come back. San Francisco leading the Rangers 5-3. And hey, the Cows have come home, Tag.
Hey.
Good to have them, too. Your Ozarka pitching change. Here is Doug Mathis after Rich Harden went 3 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 80 pitches, we are told, officially for Rich Harden, which again is a pretty big total for mid-March. Doug Mathis is one of the converted when it comes to adding that cut fastball. He's going to try it and says he likes what it's done for him so far. And working against Doug Mathis right now to make this team out of spring training, he does have minor league options left. A guy like Dustin Nippert, for example, does not, but you never know. And Doug certainly was a useful guy to have around last year.
Yeah, Doug did a great job coming out of the bullpen. He's an excellent starting pitcher in the Rangers minor league system. Lots been made about Matt Harrison and the weight that he's lost. Doug gotten on a serious diet in the offseason.
Yep.
He's dropped 10 or 15 pounds. Looks great. Not that he ever looked bad.
Fred Lewis taking here. And with Mathis, I mean, remember a couple spring trainings ago, he was one of those back of the book guys that Eric Nadel talks about, the guys who in the media guide and have the little tiny biographies way in the back of the book because they're just not supposed to make the team. In fact, the Rangers media guide said he was left-handed in 2008. I mean, we really didn't know that much about him at all. But he obviously caught the eyes of the right people.
He's a valuable guy because he could start if you needed a spot starter. He pitched in long relief because he's been a starter. And he's also pitched middle relief, setup relief in shorter stints too. So he's very versatile. Generally comes in and throws strikes, has a good assortment of pitches. And I think in most years he'd be pretty much penciled into the staff in some regard. This year it's a little tougher because there's a lot more competition.
The walk. The Sandoval comes up next. Doug Mathis quietly established a franchise record for scoreless relief innings to begin a big league career. He had 5 scoreless in 08, added 17 more in 09. That adds up to 22 innings out of the bullpen before he gave up a couple of runs in Oakland last August. Obviously, he was getting hit around a little bit as a starter, so he did have an ERA to speak of, but very effective out of the pen. Sandoval with that slashing swing sends it foul. Barry Zito is the guy that gave him that Kung Fu Panda nickname, and it has stuck. Talked about him as being a bad ball hitter earlier. Of course, Vlad Guerrero has been known for that for many years. Got those long arms, as Vlad Guerrero. With Sandoval, they say his skills to hit those non-strikes, he's just got this incredible hand-eye coordination. And he tells reporters he developed that as a kid in Venezuela. His brothers would pitch him bottle caps and corn kernels, rolls of tape. And he could hit all of those, and he's been hitting a lot of baseballs too. That one strafed into right center field. Bourbon on the move, and he got it.
That's just speed right there. He ran it down.
Earlier in the game, Sandoval robbed Bourbon. Now Bourbon robs Sandoval. A fantastic catch to end the inning and keep this game 5-3. Its time is about right. This franchise is ready. The fans are ready. Rich Harden figures he'll be ready. The spring training numbers aren't great yet, but hey, it's March, whatever, 15th. Autographs on the way out. You never see that, right? I mean, you give up 5 runs in 3 innings in Arlington. There will not be autographs being signed on the way out.
No, there won't be autographs being signed out if you throw a perfect game, probably. Just not conducive to it.
Brian Wilson takes over on the mound for San Francisco. And Jared Saltalamacchia takes a strike. You know, Ozarka pitching change. This is the closer for the Giants. We were talking about this yesterday on the broadcast, Tom. You might as well get your closer in early in the spring training game while that semi-regular kind of roster is at the plate.
Yeah, and I think you have a schedule. A closer in spring training doesn't pitch when there's an opportunity for a save. He pitches on a schedule every other day, every third day, whatever it is, so that at the end of spring training he's got 8 to 12 innings, whatever they feel a closer needs. And so I think sometimes out of respect to a veteran closer, you get to pitch earlier in the game so you don't have to sit around for 3 hours and wait and pitch. It's just a matter of getting the work in. Then probably the last week of spring training, you try to approach the games a little bit more like their regular season games. But right now it's just a matter of getting your work in, building up your arm strength, and it doesn't really make much difference whether you pitch the 3rd or the 9th. But I think most closers would rather pitch at 7:30 rather than at 9 o'clock.
Especially if something good's on TV.
Given the choice.
Well, Saltalamacchia strikes out, and we saw everything from 85 to 95 miles an hour from Wilson. Is that a haircut you'll be sporting anytime soon, by the way, Tag, or not really?
Mine looks a little bit like his does on the sides. So, yeah, I'll sport that part of it. But as far as what's growing out the back, whether I wanted to or not, it's just not going to happen probably. I'd love to look like that if I could.
Well, we can go to Target and get a mop and just.
See, I'd have to see with a hat off exactly what that looks like. Maybe he'll oblige us, wipe the sweat off his forehead and take his hat off.
Andrews showing bunt, drops it down. Posey wheels, and that's a great play to get Elvis. Posey, a shortstop in high school, moves very well. Of course, so does Elvis, but he's out by a step and a half.
It's a good try, but he just didn't get it far enough down the third baseline. Want to bunt it far enough so the catcher doesn't have time to catch it and make a play like that.
Top of the order, Bowen walked and scored in the third. He made a terrific diving catch to end the top of the fourth. Off the plate, right up the line, and foul. I think the sample size was large enough last year to get a pretty good sense of what Julio can do. That on-base percentage of close to 380. A full season of that, as you mentioned earlier, Tag, that would really set the table.
I'm not sure what the average on-base percentage is for a leadoff hitter. If I had to guess, I'd say it's about 360, but that's just a pure guess. And I would say that if you're at 380, your team is really happy with your on-base percentage for a leadoff hitter.
I think last year it was actually 363. I think you're right there.
You know, you'd love to have Ricky Henderson at whatever 415 or 420, but there aren't many of those guys around. And for a young player who can run like Julio, 380, that'd be great. I'd love to see that. You see a lot of kids come up who can really run, but they don't walk, and their on-base percentage hovers around, 310 or 315. And even though you'd love to see that speed at the top of the lineup, they just don't get on base enough to really make the lineup work. And you're kind of doomed to a lower in the order type position, usually ninth.
Well, and despite the scouting report of Alex Rodriguez about Andres Torres, that's exactly what happened with him. Not just with the Rangers, but with a couple other organizations. The old line is you can't steal first base.
No. And right now, Elvis Andrus hits ninth for the Rangers, but several years down the road, he will not be hitting ninth because his plate discipline will improve, and he'll hit for a high enough average to where great chance he'll be much higher in the lineup.
Bowen grounding out. Brian Wilson pitches a 1-2-3 fourth, and it stays 5-3. Giants lead at 5-3 here in the top of the fifth inning. The Rangers, for the most part, have stayed healthy. A bit of a scare with Josh Hamilton tonight, but just a bruised wrist, we are told. Medical Center of Arlington shows you the injury report. Probably another few days to a week with Ian Kinsler. Eric Hurley had to go on the 60-day DL. And in the booth with us right now is John Daniels. And I hate starting with injuries, JD, but we might as well talk about what so far, a knock for Micah or whatever we got here on the table. Nothing too compelling so far in spring training, and I'm sure as a general manager, you really you love hearing that.
Yeah, I think that's the key. You want to get the guys ready, get healthy, and then get out of here as quick as you can. You see
what goes through your mind when you're sitting there and you see Hamilton get hit in the wrist like that?
That the camera wasn't on me when I cursed. But it actually looked like first he wanted to stay in the game, and being spring training, Wash and Jamie probably appropriately were cautious with it.
Right.
Well, Doug Mathis on the mound right now. There's a lot of healthy, spirited competition for spots in the bullpen, that number 5 spot in the rotation. And that's good, right? I mean, that kind of competition can only bring out the best in everybody.
No doubt. And it's been great. I mean, really nobody's stubbed their toe so far of the guys in the mix. Now, obviously, we've had some rocky outings here and there, but for the most part, everybody's been good. I mean, really nobody's separated themselves in a negative sense. We had a meeting today with the staff, and running through it, and Mike Maddox made a comment that you can legitimately make a case for 19 or 20 guys to make the club. Now, we'll see how those things have a way of sorting themselves out, but normally you're sitting there in spring training and you're like, all right, these 4 are on the club.
Yeah. Where are we going to get 8 more?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been there before.
We think if we stay healthy, again, knock on wood, we hope that Oklahoma City will have some guys that in a normal season probably deserve to start the year with us.
Buster Posey, the batter, and the 2 quickest outs of the game so far have been with JD in the booth. You can stay, I hope, for the bottom of the inning?
Yeah, no problem.
Great. Okay, just making sure. That number 5 starter situation, I mean, do you have anything for public consumption on that yet? What have you and Wash discussed?
You know, not just the two of us, but the whole staff. I mean, with the scouts, the front office, and the coaching staff sat down this afternoon, probably about 3 hours or so, and walked through it. And you know, I think the bottom line is that everyone's pitched well, really, top to bottom. And we're going to give these guys more time. We have enough innings. The way Mike's scheduled spring, we've got enough innings for everybody to pitch and continue to get stretched out until right around the off day, around the 22nd, 23rd, at which point we will have to start limiting how many guys we're preparing as starters here in big league camp. But until then, you know, CJ's pitched very well. I mean, I think he's handled that transition as well as possible. He goes 4 innings tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. You know, Feliz has had his moments. He's also had times where he looks like a 21-year-old with a great arm, and you know, I think they say power guys typically take a little longer to get ready, so we'll give him some time there.
Buster Posey, the outstanding catching prospect for the Giants, singles in the right. So with C.J. Wilson, I mean, a lot has been talked about, and there's been so much conjecture about where is he best served. And I mean, is there a consensus yet, or even close to that?
No, we really want to let it play out. And as much as it's about, you know, where CJ is best served, it's where the club is best served. You know, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. What are the 12 best guys, and what's the best way to put them together for the staff? And how does it make the most sense for us? You know, want to look at contingency plans and, you know, innings limits, and, you know, how the bullpen shakes out and the roles there, and who's healthy and who's not, and all that will go into it. But you know, CJ has not done anything to this point that would give you pause for concern, but he's only gone 3 innings, like everybody else has. Rich, first guy here to get into the 4th, so we'll give it some more time.
John, when you talk about the utility infielder, generally you say your utility infielder has to be a good shortstop. Are you in a situation where you could have a utility infielder that wasn't a shortstop, and Michael Young would be the utility shortstop, or is that something you wouldn't do?
You know, we haven't really talked about that extensively, but it is something that's come up a little bit. You know, we really, you know, it's not something that we want to broach with Michael right away as far as doing that. I think, you know, knowing him, he would probably say whatever the club needs.
Right.
But, you know, really want to let him focus on third base and give Arias and Herman, these other guys, an opportunity to win the job outright. Now, if it comes down to it towards the end of camp and we need to look at something differently, you know, that is something that's a tremendous luxury you have. Just like, you know, the Giants have a luxury with Sandoval, can move around, play some different spots.
Yep.
And, you know, the Indians have Peralta at third base, so they might not need a true utility guy. And you know, it is nice to have that roster flexibility. But perfect world, we'd like to have a guy like Omar Vizquel, like we had hoped Khalil Green would be,
Exactly.
where we don't have to, you know, ask one of your regular players to bounce around.
3-1 the count here. That ball bashed off the glove of Elvis Andrews and rockets into left center field. Now the Giants will send the runner past third. That relay throw skipping in a little too late.
That's the second day in a row where a line shot's gone off the shortstop's going. That ball was hit harder than one yesterday.
Happened to Ray Olmedo yesterday. And Tim Flannery, the third base coach, pretty aggressive, sending Buster Posey around. Brandon Crawford ends up with the RBI. And it's now a 6-3 game.
Boy, that was a bullet. Not very often you'll see a ball go off the shortstop's glove and almost go all the way to the wall.
I'm
Posey
sorry, John.
runs pretty well.
Yeah,
for
he
a
does.
catcher.
Absolutely.
Pretty good athlete.
It's a veritable Jim Sundberg.
Yeah.
Good to see Sonny down there, and obviously Nolan Ryan has been right there watching all the action too. And that's kind of the corner of kings down there. You got Sonny, you've got Nolan, and Ron Washington. And I know you, JD, I mean, from both above and sideways, I guess you could say. I mean, with what's going on right now, Nolan Ryan, Wash, you, I mean, it seems like everybody just knows each other so well now. I get the sense that there's kind of a nice little lockstep that you guys are in.
It's really nice. I mean, we've had probably more continuity and stability in the organization for the last couple of years we've had in some time. And, you know, certainly dating before I got here. And it makes everything so much easier. And we had a huge meeting with the minor league staff to kick off the minor league spring training. I think we had 60, 70 guys in the, maybe not, probably 50, 60 guys in the room. I think there were 2 new faces.
Wow.
You know, I mean, just no turnover. And you know, that's huge. And one of the guys that was new was Bill Hasselman, only because we promoted Mike McCucci from within to field coordinator. Bouchel slid in, and then we hired Hasselman, and he's not even really a new face. You know,
Right.
Bill's been here before. So, you know, when you're able to do that, guys know each other. They can speak more freely. Communication's a lot better. You kind of have a sense for each other, and makes for making better decisions and a much better workplace.
2 strikes account to Nick Noonan. Will take up too high from Mathis. You got Bobby Jones going back at AAA to manage again this year. You've got a gem, obviously, with him, and you mentioned Boo moves up to AA, and Bill Hasselman. Great to have him back in the fold, no doubt.
No doubt. We've got a lot of talented guys. You know, and the downside to that, if there is one, is that, you know, the better we do as an organization, we're going to start getting our pocket picked on some of these good people, which is why, you know, we make sure to include everybody and ultimately want to keep promoting from within. Because it wouldn't surprise me here, you know, this year, towards the end of the year, assuming we have a good year. Again, I should keep knocking on wood, but we do get calls for guys in the front office, our scouts, and that's already started to happen a little bit, but I think it's going to happen more.
John Daniels joining us, and will stay with us through the bottom of the 5th inning. If you don't already know, Baseball America, which is kind of the Bible of the industry, has said that once again the Rangers are top 2 in the entire major leagues in terms of their organization, what's coming up in the minors. Doug Mathis, one of those organization guys with a strikeout to end the inning. We'll come back and talk to JD some more about what's in the pipeline, what's coming up, and what to look for in 2010 right after this. Opening day all but sold out, but you can still receive tickets to that game on April 5th by purchasing select mini plans. They're available in 12, 16, and 28 game packages, making it easy to choose a plan that's right for you. Go to TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Talking Rangers with the guy that's the architect of it all here, John Daniels, in the booth with us as Michael Young grounds out sharply to start the bottom of the 5th inning. And, you know, we were talking about it on the broadcast yesterday, JD, all the ifs that surround any big league team in spring training. I mean, the Rangers are no exception, but you never hear the word if linked to Michael Young. You just kind of assume some things about Michael, and you never worry about it.
No doubt. And that's why in September when he went down, it was, you know, one of those things you really don't plan for, and it affected us as much or more than, you know, we thought it would. But when he pulled that hammy, that really was especially with Josh down, and yeah, that was a tough blow. He didn't really bounce back from it.
There was definitely excitement last year. I mean, you know, there were 6 walk-off wins, and they finished with a better record than the playoff-bound Twins. A lot of good things happened last year, but you had to be just stunned, as we all were, when in mid-September, with everything going so well, in came the rain and out went the bats.
Yeah, it was. You know, the rain first helped us out. We went to Cleveland and we swept that doubleheader, swept that series. But then when Seattle came to town that one weekend, you know, it doesn't help. You get rained out and come back with a doubleheader, face Felix Hernandez, and but we just, you know, we didn't swing the bats. It's not, we didn't have Michael, you know, we didn't have Josh. Ian wasn't you know, going full go, and you know, we just couldn't score enough runs.
Now watching right here, Brandon Boggs in for Josh Hamilton, and for the fans just joining us, Josh got hit by a pitch, a bruised wrist, we're told, nothing more than that, and that's the info you've got.
Yeah, they took an x-ray back in the clubhouse, and our doctor that typically covers Oklahoma City Club is in, you know, they rotate in here, and he examined him, and it looks just like a contusion there on his left hand.
Boggs with a walk, and that gets us an opportunity to question you about the guy coming to the plate right now, and I guess publicly thank you for the guy that's coming to the plate right now, Vladimir Guerrero. There was a lot of talk, JD, about who the right-handed bat would be. Would it be Xavier Nady? Would it be Jermaine Dye? And boom, you get an 8-time All-Star in Vlad Guerrero.
Well, the market definitely helped us out in that regard. I mean, you know, we knew we weren't going to play on Bay and Holiday, you know, and there were a lot of other options out there. For whatever reason, it was probably because there were so many options. Guys like Vlad came to us, or their prices came down to a range that we could talk about. And you know, we know he's not exactly where he was physically in 2003, 2004, when he was, you know, arguably the best player in the game. But we think he's got a lot left. He's lost some weight. His knees are in good shape. He's moving around pretty easily, and he's got a great attitude about him. He invited Thad and I over to his house for dinner the other night.
Really?
So we went over, and
Sizzles that one to right. It's going to be caught, though. Boggs has to get on back.
Yeah, Mama Guerrero cooked us a delicious
Really?
meal. That's right.
The first time I've ever heard of that.
You know, I think it was we enjoyed it.
That's a great honor.
We're stuffed, no doubt. But I think it was, you know, somewhat he appreciated a little sign of respect. We got a hug from Mama on our way out, and
Wow.
Thad broke out a little broken Spanish. I tried to hide mine because I knew I'd just embarrass myself.
That's a great story. I didn't know that.
But he, you know, for a likely first ballot, or in my opinion, first ballot Hall of Fame, or one of the best players of his generation, he's as humble and as ordinary. He's a very blue-collar superstar, if I could use that phrase. Very, I don't want to call him like a normal guy, but he really is. I mean, we had a chance to visit him out in Anaheim, and then again here, and you know, eats dinner and he plops down on the couch and watches, watches TV. You know, doesn't really drink. You know, he's a religious guy, and
Boggs is going Cruz with a foul.
Big on family. He seems to be a genuinely good person.
Maicer Asturias said last year, one of his good friends from the Angels, there's only 3 things he ever talks about. It's baseball, his family, and merengue music. That's it. There's nothing else.
That's just like us.
Just like you. That's right, yeah.
Well, you kind of see that. I've only been here a couple of days and watch him around the batting cage, the way he chats to his teammates, and whether it's young players or veteran players, it looks like he's the same. So you kind of see that.
What was interesting, the first day, first maybe B game or maybe his inter-squad game, you know, Nelly, obviously Vlad is like a hero to him in a lot of ways, and a guy that people compared Nelly to coming up. And all of a sudden, he's got him on now, but I noticed Nelly didn't have batting gloves the first couple of days.
Oh, really?
You like Vlad, right?
Then he got the blisters and said, "The heck with it."
Yeah, probably.
Thankfully, none of the pine tar on the helmet yet for Nelson Cruz.
Well, I mean to ask Hoggy. Hoggy's our equipment manager. I mean to ask him if he had to actually touch up. If he had to touch up the helmet, because the first game, first at bat, Vlad had a fully coated helmet. I don't know how he got it that way.
Nelly Cruz bounces out, and John, we could talk to you forever, but I know you got actual stuff to go do. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Congratulations on all of this, too.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, Tom.
Looking forward to a great year. John Daniels put it together, the Rangers and the San Francisco Giants tonight on Fox Sports Southwest. Spring training baseball from Surprise. The Rangers and the Giants move on to the 6th inning. Our thanks again to John Daniels, Rangers GM, for coming in. Couple of changes for the Rangers here. First of what are sure to be many in a spring training game, but Max Ramirez takes over behind the plate. Coming off a down and injury-marred 2009. And a guy the Rangers just plucked away from the Milwaukee Brewers day before yesterday, Hernan Iribarren. I'm going to quiz tag on the spelling of that in the next inning. Guy that hit 300 at AAA last year. Not a lot of pop, though. Mostly a shortstop, but he's blocked. They've got this whiz kid prospect, kind of Elvis Andrus-like there, Alcides Escobar. And with J.J. Hardy moving on to Minnesota, that is definitely his gig. So Iribarren now trying to make the Rangers as a utility guy. Takes A-Rod's old number. Making significantly less, however. Ford trying to bunt, couldn't get it. So Iribarren joins kind of a crowded mix with Khalil Green never showing up for Ranger spring training. You've got Arias now getting a shot. Iribarren will get a look. Ray Olmedo will get a look. Wave and a miss. Doug Mathis able to strike out the number 9 hitter.
It's nice that the other guys are going to get an opportunity, but it's kind of disappointing for the Rangers to lose Khalil Green. He's a guy that, you know, a couple of years ago hit 27 or 28 home runs, was a frontline everyday shortstop. And to have a guy like that as your utility infielder could have been very valuable over 162 games. That was unfortunate.
Well, the social anxiety issues that Khalil has been fighting his entire career just kind of flared up on him, and quite obviously, and the Rangers are very sensitive to it. I mean, first and foremost, you just have to deal with that, and the door is not shut completely on maybe Khalil Green someday coming back to baseball, coming to the Rangers even, but the hand that the Rangers have been dealt does not include Khalil Green anymore. Andres Torres, who doubled in a run in the fourth and has also walked, is going to walk again. And this is the second inning for Doug Mathis tonight. Rich Harden, who started, was able to go into the fourth inning. 5 hits, 3 walks allowed, 5 runs. And the guy that he essentially replaces is the #1 man in the Rangers rotation, Kevin Millwood. Boy, he's been getting hit a lot harder than that so far as an Oriole. We wish Kevin nothing but the best, though. He was a pro. Won the Rangers plenty of ball games, but, you know, basically with financially anyway, Tag, I mean, with what they would have had to pay Millwood, they're paying Rich Harden and Vlad Guerrero. So that's kind of a decent deal right there.
Yeah, and that's what the Rangers have said. It would have been great to be able to keep Kevin, but if they did, they wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the other things that have made the team better.
See what happened to poor Ben Sheets today? He faced 10 batters, got none of them out.
Wow.
For the Oakland A's. No innings, 10 runs.
Wow. It's hard to do in batting practice.
And yeah, his first start didn't go much better than that. He's pitched 4 innings total now for his new team, the Oakland A's, giving up 18 runs.
Yeah, I think they've all come in his last 2 starts. I think his first start actually was halfway decent, if I remember right.
That one's down and away. You can see Mathis trying to work in that cutter here and there. Not really getting the Giants to bite and swing against it here. The Giants, a team that walked not a lot at all last year. In fact, they were dead last in the majors in walks achieved. But they've collected, what do we have, 6 walks for the Giants tonight?
Yeah, and the Rangers, for most of spring training, had the fewest walks in all of baseball.
Yeah, they've been averaging 2 per game in spring training.
So
they got 6 tonight.
Very unusual to have 6 in one game.
Edouard Ramirez getting ready. He was brought in from the Yankees a little less than a week ago. Here's your Brookshire's pitching report, and as we're talking about, only 22 walks through 11 games in it tonight.
And 2 or fewer walks allowed in 8 of the 11 games.
Well, tonight we're looking at the exception to the rule. And now we are looking at Pablo Sandoval again. I bet you a bunch of Sandoval jerseys get sold in San Francisco. You mentioned he hit .330 last year.
Sandoval's looking at the umpire like, how could you call that a strike? The umpire's just shocked he didn't swing at it.
He swings at everything else. There's a swing from Sandoval, and Vlad Guerrero used to have that reputation as the swing at everything guy. Sandoval is kind of the heir to the throne. An ambidextrous switch-hitting third baseman who can play catcher and first. Wanted to be Omar Vizquel when he was growing up back in Venezuela. Then he got to actually play with Omar his rookie year, right? Omar was a shortstop, and Sandoval came up as a third baseman. Very different body type from Omar as it's turned out, though.
Yeah, he's 2 Omars right now.
Haven't seen the wardrobe, though, so we can't comment on that. But in play slowly, Elvis Andrus rockets it across, and he got him. That's another guy that Obviously had great affection for Omar Vizquel growing up in Venezuela. Elvis Andrus got to break into the big leagues astride of Mr. Vizquel as well.
Well, you know, guys have different body types. And at age 22 or 23, I'm sure there's a lot of people would say they like to see Sandoval slim down a little bit. But he still handles himself pretty well at third base for a big guy. There's no questioning the way he swings the bat. So he may just be one of those guys that plays well throughout his career at what looks like a little bit heavy.
Worked well for Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, and, you know, it's hard to argue with what he's done. Hit 340 one year and 330 the next year in the big leagues.
John Bowker out in front of one. Bowker's kind of a guy without a position. Always been a decent to very good AAA hitter. The question is where in the National League he plays. You can't DH. Scooped out of the dirt by Ramirez. We mentioned Ramirez's name tag. He's kind of the forgotten man when we talk about the Rangers catching situation. It's a healthy competition between Saltalamacchia and Teagarden. Wasn't too long ago Max Ramirez was being looked at as a big time catching prospect. Rip and a miss. Makes the count 2-2 with 2 on 2 out. Rangers have a 1-run inning and a 2-run inning, but the Giants have 2 of both of those. 2 1s and 2 2s to lead it 6-3. Battle of 2 teams who are due. I think you can say, Tag. The Giants haven't won a World Series in 57 years when they were still playing in New York. Rangers have that snappy new marketing slogan, "It's time." Giants fans must be watching on tonight going, "Oh, really?" Us too.
Yeah, they've been there, though.
That's true.
They had the World Series during the earthquake there that was disrupted against the A's.
You were there for that, right?
I was sitting right in the front row for that. We had the best seats in the house. Just got our food, just sitting down in our seats. And bang, there was the earthquake. I didn't even eat my food.
Ron Washington will stroll to the mound, and that's going to be it for Doug Mathis. He walks the bases loaded here in the 6th inning, and the newcomer Edouard Ramirez. And we called on to extinguish the flames here in just a moment. Rangers trying to stay within range, 6-3, and this wiry right-hander, the former Yankee, comes in. We'll tell you about him when we come back on Fox Sports Southwest. There's a bases-loaded mess for one of the newest Rangers to try to clean up here in Surprise, Arizona at 6-3 San Francisco already. And just claimed off of waivers from the New York Yankees, Edouard Ramirez. No D, just Edouard Ramirez. The third Ramirez, whose first name starts with E, that the Rangers have had on the mound the last few years. They've had Elizardo and Erasmo. Now here is Edouard.
A nice little opportunity right here. Come in with the bases loaded.
He will face former Ranger Mark DeRosa. Edouard Ramirez, Tag, at one point in his minor league career was listed at 6'3", 148 pounds, which seems almost physically impossible unless you're a straw.
Well, he's slightly built, that's for sure.
He is ballooned up to 170, so they say. Gets ahead of DeRosa here, 0-2. Huge strikeout numbers in his minor league days. 376 of them in 276 innings.
He had a good year for the Yankees a couple years ago. A good solid reliever for him. Another guy that brings depth.
But not a lot of width.
No, not a lot. Not a big guy.
His strikeout rate in the majors is pretty close to 11 strikeouts per 9 innings.
There's his pitch right there. Changeup. It's a good one, too.
To befuddle DeRosa with the bases loaded. Nicely done. And a guy trying to make the bullpen kind of a last-ditch effort to do that. That'll help. It is 6-3. We'll be seeing Ian on a white horse riding backwards pretty soon. That's good stuff. Thanks to John Radigan.
It's pretty bad. You're in a spring training game. Someone fires a puck at you.
Well, a 6-3 San Francisco lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And Clayton Tanner is going to take over on the mound. Some other changes to note as we go forward. Here comes the fun part, Tag. Here's guys we've never heard of playing important positions.
Well, I never got to report on my personal goal for yesterday's game. And I know there's people listening tonight that also watched the game yesterday. I did accomplish it.
Which was what again?
By the end of the game, my scorecard was correct with all those changes.
Well, here's what you're going to need to do now, if you're so inclined.
I am.
You're going to have to put Thomas Neal in left field.
Thomas Neal.
Wearing number 83. And you got your Connor Gillespie at third base. Wearing number 50. And you now have your battle of the 71s with Matt Brown batting and Clayton Tanner pitching. What do you think of those socks?
I love them.
Do you?
Look how good the Dodger uniform, I mean the Giant uniform would look if everybody wore their socks like that. I love that look.
Tanner's an Australian-born but California-raised left-hander.
Think of all the stripes that are going to waste with the pants down around the ankles. There we go. Who's that? Bruce Bochy? Nope.
Boy, were you wrong.
Can't tell a player by his socks.
No, I know that, but
I really wasn't in the ballpark, though, was I?
Nope. 2-2 the count to Brown.
I could tell by the size of his head.
The Kevin Mensch-sized Bruce Bochy head.
Yeah, he has a big head.
And he knows it. They called him Buckethead in his playing days, so that's nothing new. It's a size 8. And hiding the socks.
I'll never mistake Bruce for the sock look. I just thought, he'd be one of the older guys. Maybe he'd be more old school and appreciate that kind of look. I guess not.
I think we've wandered into a really cool new game show experience for Tom Grieve. Show the socks and guess the player. Win a watch.
I was so close that time. I can't wait to try it again.
All right, Tag, who you got? Willie Mays.
Willie Mays. That's what I was going to say. Willie Mays.
And your winner is the shortstop.
Almost.
Matt Brown rifles one into left field.
Matt hasn't hurt his chances today. A walk and 2 well-hit line shots to left field against left-handed pitchers.
Kicking myself because I didn't say he socked it into left field, but what are you going to do?
That's the thought that counts. He's had a couple of really good swings today. Kind of balls that if he gets them up in the air just a little bit, he's got a chance for a couple of home runs.
Well, and again, Brown, one of those guys on the cusp. Every swing he takes matters in spring training.
He's 7 for 13 now. He came in 5 for 11.
Joaquin Arias, originally acquired in that Alex Rodriguez deal from the Yankees. He was a player to be named along with Alfonso Soriano coming over. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? But Joaquin is the only guy remaining, obviously, from that deal. Kind of the last connection to the Alex Rodriguez era. Two-strike delivery. And Arias spoiled a pretty good pitch. A lot of spring training baseball for you as we go along this week. In fact, we're right back on the air Wednesday night from right down the road in Peoria, Arizona. The Rangers and the Seattle Mariners. It'll be a 7:05 first pitch, North Texas time. Then 3 games on our new over-the-air partner, TXA 21. Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll show you the Brewers. We'll show you the Dodgers, just back from Taiwan. And then the San Diego Padres. Wave and a miss. Well, that pitch just disappeared on Arias. First out of the inning. This is one thing the Giants do well top to bottom, I guess, tag his pitch. I mean, obviously it starts with their Cy Young, Mr. Lincecum. And Matt Cain gives him a very solid 1-2 punch, and we saw their 20-year-old phenom tonight, Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, the Giants do a good job of staying competitive year after year. There's times where you look at their team and you go, whoa, not going to be a good year for the Giants, but somehow they know how to put a good team together.
Just got to start hitting. Over the last 5 years, they are dead last in the majors in runs, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. And 2 of those years, they still had Barry Bonds. Final number of home runs was 762. And isn't that weird how that number hasn't really been memorized by anybody yet? We all knew 714 and 755, but when the new standard is 762, and it's like nobody cares.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people that don't recognize 762 for obvious reasons.
He broke that record, and as it was said, it was like the finale of The Sopranos. It settled nothing because we didn't really know what to make of it. Such a polarizing event. In for a strike to Ramirez, 3-1. Rangers have been held to just 4 hits in this one tonight. That's unusual for how it's been going in spring training. Ground ball base hit for Max Ramirez. Matt Brown pulls into second base and stops. And the Rangers get the tying man up there. Max Ramirez just had a year to forget last year. He had a great 2008, but it was 2009. It was injuries and just ineffectiveness, basically. And Max Ramirez poised to kind of remind everybody who he is. Of course, he was supposed to be a Boston Red Sox right now. Remember, he was all but traded for Mike Lowell this winter. And the deal fell apart when Lowell's hand injury was discovered to be more serious than first thought. Boston's going to be pretty good again, huh?
Yeah, they've got a chance to be pretty good. They're a tough division, though. All the teams in the East have a chance to be pretty good. Baltimore's getting better. Toronto's rebuilding.
Tampa Bay won the whole pennant a couple years ago.
There. Red Sox have been there. Yankees have been there. A great division.
Now, a lot of the same kind of talk about the West right now, too, as Dave Righetti, the pitching coach, and head on out there to talk to young Mr. Tanner. We talked about it a bit yesterday on the broadcast tag. The AL West will just be a really tough division to win. There's only 4 teams, and that part helps. But the average number of wins for those teams last year was 86. That's the best of any division in baseball.
Well, we saw plenty from the A's last year in the way of young pitching. Trevor Cahill, Brett Anderson. Those 2 kids were only 21 last year. They're 2 of the best young pitchers in all of baseball. They didn't get a lot of publicity because they were pitching for a mediocre team in Oakland, but they're going to be even better this year, those 2 kids. And anytime you go in there to play the A's, you face those 2 kids, you got your hands full. So You combine that with the starting pitching that Seattle has. Their bullpen is solid. It is a solid division. And as everyone says, it goes through, if you want to win the division, you have to go through the Angels, whether you think they're better or not this year, or whether they've lost some players and they've come back to the pack. They're still the team to beat.
Mike Scioscia continues to squeeze every ounce out of that group. But what the Rangers have, and we kind of alluded to it with John Daniels in the booth, that pipeline. Year before last, Baseball America said the Rangers had the 4th best farm system and the 2nd best free agent draft. Then in 09, it was decreed the Rangers organization was number 1 best farm system in the business. Elvis Andrus down on strikes.
Tanner has a good changeup. That's what he got Joaquin Arias to swing at, and that's the pitch that Elvis just missed too.
And just to finish a thought tag with the 2010s rankings out, the Rangers being 2nd in baseball behind Tampa Bay. So the last 3 years, the organization ranked 4th, 1st, and 2nd in terms of what's on the horizon. And that's right after being ranked 27th in 2007.
It's a good spot to be in. And the goal of any organization is to develop the young players on a consistent basis, not just all at once and then go dry, but to have a couple every year that are knocking on the door, have a chance to make the big league club, as we were talking about earlier with Julio Bourbon. It's the way that you stay successful on the field, and it's the way that you can manage a payroll by continually having young players. The group of most valuable players in the game are young players who make somewhere around the minimum salary and are either regular players or in a rotation or solid bullpen guys. Those guys are worth their weight in gold. And developing them is the only way to get them. Very difficult to trade for them. So you need to have good drafts. And the other thing the Rangers have done is they've been active worldwide, signing players. Jim Coburn's done a great job in the Pacific Rim. They've drafted well. They've signed well in Latin America. Anywhere the players are, you need to be there signing them to keep your minor league system strong.
Big swing for Bourbon. He lifts it towards right. And the Rangers threaten, but they do not score. Here in the bottom of the 6th, the Giants with their really cool black and orange socks leading 6-3. Our scores. We go to the 7th inning. The Rangers will be taking on the Mariners in a 3-game series when it all counts, starting Friday, April 9th. On Sunday the 11th, the first 20,000 fans get an Ian Kinsler 30-30 cap, compliments of Fox Sports Southwest. 972 Rangers or TexasRangers.com to get your tickets. Ground ball towards short, and just in the game is Esteban Herman. He could not make the play. Craig Gentry just in the game fields it. Changes all the way here for the Rangers, except for Boggs in left. You've now got Gentry in center, Mitch Moreland in right. And new infield is Ira Barron at third, Herman at short, Lemon at second, Smoke at first. And now a pinch runner as well. Jackson Williams will come in the game after that ground single by Buster Posey. That's a lot to digest right there in like 9 seconds, but it's spring training. That's why we showed you the shot of that spinning carousel when we came back from commercial. Brandon Crawford launching near the track in left center. With the All Ramirez battery still having at it for the Rangers. Edouard on the mound. Max behind the plate. You see who the first base coach is there, Tag? That's our old friend Roberto Kelly.
Roberto Kelly looks just like he did when he was a player. He's in great shape.
Ranger in 98 and 99. Nick Noonan is 1 for 3. Runs up to bunt and couldn't get it. Squibbed up near third. Here, Barron
Spit on that ball.
will play it across. It's picked at first base. Whoa, the call is safe. And Ron Washington will come out to discuss. Justin Smoke with the pick. It looked like he was on the bag, but we're way up here.
That ball was hit right off the end of the bat, and it looked like it was headed into foul territory, and actually the spin made the ball spin toward the middle of the infield. Right on the line,
yeah.
And now it's coming back the other way.
Pretty close.
I don't know if he beat the throw, but Smoke caught it, and it looked like his foot was on the bag.
Should be a base hit all the way. And it is. So 2 on 1 out now. And Darren Ford will come back up there. Made a nice running catch in center earlier tonight. Fun night of spring training baseball, getting to know some of the Giants players who we've never seen before, and obviously the Rangers minor leaguers getting their chance to come on in. But also guys like Edouard Ramirez, who's trying to prove that he should be on the club right now. Had a musical night tonight. Someone emailed me to remind me, Tag, tonight we had Brian Wilson pitching to Elvis. We let that one go
I can't
right
believe
by.
you missed that.
I know. I got some very alert emailers, as always. And again, for the Rangers, opening day, April the 5th against Toronto. There's some exhibition baseball back home before that. At the ballpark Friday, April 2nd, the Royals will come in. That's a 7:05 game. And the Rangers will play at Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco against the Royals Saturday, April 3rd in the afternoon. So just throwing it out there, if you can't get to opening day or can't get tickets for opening day on the 5th, you can still see the Rangers in early April, April 2 or April 3. And that homestand, that first homestand, goes all the way through April 11th. And the Rangers go to Cleveland, where the Indians will have their home opener. That does not appear to be a real strong unit this year, the Cleveland Indians. They are in the rebuild mode. Two-two pitch, off speed, whacked foul. It'll be Toronto and Seattle coming in on that first homestand for the Rangers. The two expansion teams from 1977. And the Rangers hit the road for a while. They go to Cleveland, New York, and Boston with 2 off dates on that road trip too. Punched down the line, that's fair by a diving Barron. 1 run is in, and it's a double. Standing up is Darren Ford at second base. Second and third now, 1 out. It's 7-3. Well, it's bottom third for San Francisco. Again, as we've talked about, 3 guys that are probably going to be at Double-A this year. All they've done is get on base 5 times and drive in 3 runs.
They got a high inside changeup. Pretty good pitch to hit. He hit it pretty sharply down the left field line. 3 runs knocked in for Ford, and 3 separate at bats. A sac fly, a single, and a double all drove in a run.
Mike Maddox went out there to talk to Edouard Ramirez, and Mike Maddox will be talking with us in the bottom of the 7th inning. Talk to him about what he's seen this spring. Infield in, Andres Torres, the hitter. He'll take outside. Rangers bullpen getting busy now behind Edouard Ramirez. Looks like Elizardo Ramirez, no relation, getting ready out there behind the 350 marker.
A steady stream of Ramirez is coming into this game, boy.
Max Ramirez catching. Could have 2 E. Ramirez's pitching in this inning. I bumped into Erasmo Ramirez at a bookstore in California this winter. I didn't tell you
Really?
that. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
That is a coincidence. How's he doing?
Great. He's retired from baseball. He's gone back to school.
Good.
One of the real nice guys from the Rangers about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, on the list of things you think will happen when you just kind of wander into a bookstore in Newport Beach, California. What? Erasmo Ramirez. 3-1 pitch. Towering fly ball. Back into the crowd. Well, again with Edouard Ramirez. The guy that broke through with the Yankees, but boy, it took him a while to get there. Just 3 summers ago, Tommy was pitching in the Independent United Baseball League. Was released by the Angels twice. Good off-speed pitch right there.
Well, the independent leagues are just another area that major league teams have to cover scouting-wise. Because it used to be a little bit uncommon to see someone coming out of an independent league into a major league organization, but it happens all the time now.
Jeff Zimmerman, a bit of a trailblazer on that one.
Yep.
Fred Lewis already is homered tonight, takes a strike here. Pablo Sandoval supposed to hit next, but remember he got replaced by Connor Gillespie last inning, so we won't see Sandoval bat. Get the former Wichita State Shocker in there, Connor Gillespie. We've been singing the praises about the Ranger pitching staff and how they've not been walking anybody, how they've been getting ahead in counts all spring. That has not been the case tonight.
That's a good changeup.
That's a great change.
He's got the hitters shaking their heads. As a hitter, you have to gear up for a fastball, and then you get a pitch like this, and almost looks like it stops halfway to home plate. The thing that sells the changeup is the motion and the delivery that you have. You have to make it look exactly like your fastball. There it is
And there it is to get Lewis.
A good changeup, you can throw it all the time, and they still have a hard time hitting it.
7th inning stretch in Surprise. Mike Maddox is set to join us when we come back in just a moment. Giants leading 7-3. Spring training baseball from Surprise, Arizona, starting to cool off just a little bit. Temperature tomorrow, Mr. Grieve, is supposed to be 82, and then the day after is supposed to be 86. So
well, we got lucky. We caught the good weather. We missed the bad weather.
Mike Maddox was here for the bad weather, and he is kind enough to join us right now. A rainy start to spring training, but things are clicking into gear in a lot of different ways now. And Mike, the scoreboard tonight notwithstanding, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of spring training so far, yes?
I've been really happy with the process that we're going through. The guys are pounding the strike zone. You know, like you said, notwithstanding tonight, you know, we've got some walks. But for the most part, the guys have been on the attack, pitching to contact, using the defense, and I like what I've been seeing so long.
Has to be a pitching coach's dream, Mike, to be middle of spring training and wondering how you're ever going to cut down to get the right number of pitchers here for the start of the season.
I tell you, it's a good problem to have. You know, we got a lot of guys that are stepping up. We have a lot of guys that are very, very even. So the inner competition is healthy for the depth of the organization. So it's a good problem to have.
Last year, the team ERA was at its lowest since 1993, and a full run per game off the team ERA just fell away. And Mike, a lot of different reasons, I'm sure, for that. But what are some of the things that you liked about '09 that you just want to simply carry into 2010?
Well, what I really like is a lot of young guys got their feet wet and they realize that they can pitch in the big leagues and they understand the process that you have to go through to win in the big leagues. Some guys had very nice rookie campaigns and a lot of guys learned a lot of things. So I think the guys are better this year just because they have the experience that we didn't have last year.
The rotation at the start of last year, Mike, was Millwood, Padilla, McCarthy, Benson, and Harrison. And obviously it looks like Harrison might be a part of it again. We know Millwood and Padilla will not. Benson certainly will not. What about those two other names, McCarthy and Harrison? What have you seen from them?
Well, Brandon McCarthy threw the other day when we were down in Goodyear facing Cleveland, threw 3 outstanding innings, faced some adversity and was able to pitch through it. You know, he pitched himself into trouble, he pitched himself out of trouble, then he covered an error also. So it was a nice 4-out inning that he was able to post a donut. Matt Harrison has just been pitching like his hair's on fire. I mean, he's been outstanding. You know, he came into camp lighter, slimmer, and ready for the challenge because he's got the eye of the tiger working right now, as does Brandon, as does a lot of other guys too. So it's a lot of fun.
What are the changes that Brandon has made? We've read about that he's tried to change his delivery a little bit. Is that something dramatic or more subtle that we might not even notice?
Yeah, you know, you probably wouldn't know if you see him throw. You know, the guy's an 8-footer. He's got a lot of long limbs, you know, a lot going on out there. So, but we understand what he's done and why he did it. And now he's had the mechanical change from last year, but he's also added a little repertoire variable. And he's trying to learn himself how he can use this new repertoire, but not forget what made him successful in the past.
Speaking of long limbs, the guy that's coming up right now was actually among your teammates in Montreal in the late 90s, Vlad Guerrero. So I'm interested in your take. I mean, because you've seen him as a young kid and now as a grizzled vet.
I tell you what, some things don't change, man. You can't change the spots on a leopard, man. That guy, he got their attention as a young guy and put fear on him throughout the years, and he continues to do that, man. The guy's quite a presence in the lineup, a lot of fun to watch.
Vlad pops out. Our time ends too soon with Mike Maddox. He's got to now watch what's happening on the mound. Mike, thank you so much, brother. We'll talk again.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, that's the great Mike Maddox. His UTEP Miners are in the tournament too. Go Miners. 7-3 San Francisco at the end of 7. Vlad Guerrero's evening is over. The Rangers, though, still have plenty of baseball to go. Well, not plenty, but 2 innings worth anyway. We're in the 8th, and Darren O'Day will take over. What a find. Wow. Darren O'Day, when you think about it, might be the best waiver claim in Ranger history if this keeps on going the way it's going. He was let go by the Mets last April, and all he did as a Ranger was get into 68 games, post an ERA of 1.8. As on where his opponent's batting average in '09, 4th best in the entire American League. So that is quite a find that the Rangers got.
Yeah, you see a guy that, you know, is not a guy that lights up a radar gun. It's more a deception kind of thing. But to see the strikeout to walk ratio, he struck out a batter per inning. His hits were incredible. In the 30s with 50+ innings pitched. It was a remarkable season. He was good consistently all season long.
Became a very popular player down the stretch. Those O'Day chants would fill the ballpark. Now, the Mets felt the need to make room for 34-year-old journeyman Nelson Figueroa to make one start last April. They needed someone stricken from the roster just procedurally to make that happen. They chose Darren O'Day. And the Rangers pounced.
Darren had a memorable first game for the Rangers up in Toronto. Got to the game right as in the middle of the game, went out to the bullpen, shook hands with people he'd never met before, warmed up, came into the game, had to pitch and didn't even have a name on it. Didn't even have his own name on his uniform.
Yep, he debuted as lefty Kaysen Gabbard. There's an 8-pitch at bat to Kevin Millar, and then Millar ended up winning the game with a hit. So the very first thing O'Day did with his new organization is have to walk off as a losing pitcher.
I thought it was funny when he got to the mound, when he came in late in that game to pitch. He was meeting Ron Washington for the first time. He had a big grin on his face and a real serious part of the game.
Under the glove of Justin Smoak, that's a base hit for Connor Gillespie. Yeah, that was a crazy day. April 22nd of '09. He was back home in Panama City Beach. You know, he got the waiver thing happened a couple days before. They just told him go home and wait. All right, so he goes home to Panama City Beach. Then has to fly from there through Memphis. Had to change planes to get Memphis to Toronto. And you're right, Tag. You landed at 9:45. Got through customs. Got to the ballpark at 10:45. Was in uniform at 10:55. In the game at 11:05.
Yeah,
That's a heck of a day.
You wouldn't expect to be pitching with a game on the line when you arrive at the airport at that time of the night. Somehow he did it.
Another ground ball to the right side. Base hit again. Under the glove of Marcus Lemon. Couple ground ball hits off O'Day, but here's what he did so well for the Rangers in 2009. Just slinging it in there. Getting a lot of strikes.
Now, what Darren likes to do is he likes to get ahead of you, either with a sinker or with that breaking ball or a changeup, whatever it takes to get ahead of you. And when he's ahead 0-2 or 1-2, then he likes to try to sneak the high fastball by the hitter. And he does it pretty consistently. They're not strikes, but many times the hitter can't lay off it anyway.
2 ground ball singles brings up Thomas Neal, a 22-year-old. One of those NRIs, the non-roster invitees. Most teams probably have, what, about 14, 15 of those, maybe? Non-roster invitees
I guess
to
that's
spring
probably
training.
a ballpark number.
San Diego's only got 3 this year. That's amazing to me. The Royals have 25 non-roster invitees. I think the Rangers are right middle of the pack on a 14, 15.
Well, a lot of times, one of the reasons you have those non-roster invitees, it's one of the stipulations when you sign a minor league free agent. Many times, even though they don't have a great chance to make a big league team, there is a big benefit to coming to big league camp. Number one, the manager and the coaches get to see you, but financially it's a little more lucrative to be in big league camp than it is minor league camp. And teams like to have a good solid AAA team with some veteran guys that could be call-ups during the season if they need them. And so signing minor league free agents is an important part of the offseason too. And to do that, a lot of times a big league invitation comes along with the signing.
Here's the Broken Arrow, Oklahoma native Jackson Williams to the plate for the first time. Former Oklahoma Sooner, or is a good off-speed pitch. 78 miles an hour, and Williams way out in front. First and third, 1 out. The fake to third, the fake to first. There's some big names in spring training this year on the non-roster invitee program. A guy like Mark Grudzielanek with Cleveland, Paul LaDuca in Colorado. Jim Edmonds trying to resurrect his career in Milwaukee. That guy's made $85 million in his career. He's in as a non-roster invitee.
And that's another reason why guys come in as non-roster invitations. They might have, like the guys you just mentioned, a decent chance to make a big league team, but at the time they sign, there's not room on the roster. And so you sign them as a non-roster guy and can hopefully maneuver your roster around so you have a space for them at the end of spring training.
You know who else is doing that with Milwaukee? Is our old friend Cam Lowe.
Yeah.
He's back from Japan on the non-roster invitee program for the Brewers.
So Kevin Mench was in spring training with somebody.
Nice play. Esteban Herman gets one, gets just that. Oh, Justin Smoke with the stretch. Close play at first. Run scores. Oh, it's fun to watch, though. Esteban Herman, to make this team, I think, Tag needs to prove that he can do exactly that. We all know he can hit. But in a utility role, if he's pressed into playing shortstop, can he do that?
Oh, that was a pretty nice play. They almost turned it. Strong throw by Lemon. A little bit offline. But a great attempt at turning a double play to save a run. Brings
up Brandon Crawford. Rangers in danger of losing back-to-back 8-3 games. We were kind of hoping to blaze on the air with something a little, different than that. But if the Rangers do not rally tonight, just a reminder, your next chance to see the Rangers on the television will be Wednesday. It is a 7:05 Arizona time first pitch, 9:05 North Texas time. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Got him. Darren O'Day's out of the inning with 1 run in an 8-3 ball game with the bottom of the 8th coming up. Twelve hits for the Giants, only 5 for the Rangers tonight, but a crowd of 6,116 enjoying every minute of it. A very pleasant night here in Surprise, starting to cool down, but you're getting to watch some baseball under the lights. And we appreciate you tuning in tonight from wherever you are watching the game tonight. Santiago Casilla washed out with the Oakland A's last year, and now trying to go across the bay, basically, from Oakland to San Francisco. We knew this guy originally as Jairo Garcia. He was, as we always joke, the player to be named later. He reverted to being Santiago Casilla. And if he can get that slider back working for him, then maybe he does make the Giants out of spring training.
Yeah, there were times when he was with the A's where he looked like he was going to be a solid relief guy. He's got a good fastball, good slider.
An exciting Rangers prospect will dig in to face a Mitch Moreland. It's our first chance to see him. 17th round draft picks have certainly hit the jackpot for the Rangers before. Ian Kinsler springs to mind. This is a guy who in the mid-August last year, Tag, was leading all minor leaguers in hits, which is quite an accomplishment for a 17th round draft pick. I'm not talking just Rangers minor league guys, but everybody in baseball. The Tom Grieve Minor League Player of the Year in 2009.
Well, everybody is definitely talking about him. First time we've had a chance to see him swing the bat.
Out of Mississippi State, just like Will Clark and Rafi Palmeiro. The other thing he did besides hit at Mississippi State, he was a closer. And the Rangers actually tried him out on the mound themselves a couple of years ago because of that scouting report that he had a heck of an arm.
Not the first guy at Mississippi State to be a closer and a really good hitter. Bobby Thigpen was the same way.
Yeah, that's right. Had the major league record for saves in a season before K-Rod broke it a couple of years ago. That is ball 4, and the discerning eye of Mitch Moreland will hopefully kickstart a rally here. Well, back to back, we get to see Moreland and Smoke. And if you're a follower of the Rangers minor league system, this is your kind of inning right here. You get to see two guys who are just pure hitters. And a lot of buzz about the both of them. Fouled right back this way by Smoke, who's out of the University of South Carolina. 11th overall pick in 08. The Rangers, I think, Tag, were just stunned that he lasted that long. They were really happy to scoop him up.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a little bit of a signability issue possibly with some of the teams picking before the Rangers. But a pretty talented kid to get at that spot in the draft.
Down a couple of strikes here. Now, Mark Teixeira, out of a strong college program, needed about 320 minor league at bats. Chipper Jones, right out of high school, needed closer to 1,500. We'll see exactly how many minor league ABs it takes before Smoke is in the big leagues. But
you know, in a lot of cases, it's not just when the player's ready. That's the most important thing, but also what the opportunity is.
Bashed, wow. It just jumps off his bat, doesn't it? Right center field into the alley. Moreland coming around, and Smoke has doubled him in.
That ball was hit harder than the ball he hit yesterday. He hit a double to left center field right-handed in yesterday's game. Hit it well, but not like that. That was a screaming line drive. 0-2 pitch. Garcia got ahead with a fastball and a breaking ball. 0-2. And then throws a fastball 95 miles an hour right down the middle of the plate. 0-2. And it's about as nice a swing as you can have, and about as hard as you can hit a ball right there.
Now the 21-year-old Marcus Lemon, the son of Chet Lemon. Chet was done playing when Marcus was 3 years old, so he's really not one of those kids that grew up in a major league clubhouse. He says, if I was in the clubhouses, I don't remember. But his dad did retire, actually first to run a chicken farm of all things. He sold his chicken farm to Lou Whitaker.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. And then after he got out of the chicken business, what he's doing now, his dad is doing, is coaching some really talented kids down in Florida. He runs two travel teams that are pretty much known as the best travel teams in the South.
Wow.
And yes, Marcus played for Dad on those teams. I think the Chester Lemon Chicken Farm is a great band name.
Well, that's pretty good that you can have a chicken farm and then sell it to a former teammate.
Or at least have a really gullible teammate.
Yeah, well, he's a good businessman to start a business, and then an excellent salesman to unload it. Who knows? Maybe Lou Whitaker's made a tremendous living out of being a chicken baron.
Is that like an era baron or not? Well, Marcus Lemon, again, at 21 years old, this is not his time to make the big league club, but he can absolutely make an impression. And hitting close to 500 so far this spring, so that's a nice impression. Grounded towards second, that'll move the runner over. And that is a productive out, something that the Rangers will keep very careful track of this year. Clint Hurdle, who we'll talk a lot about this spring, the new Ranger hitting coach, is committed to, I guess you could call it, rewarding guys for doing what they are supposed to do at the plate. Whether it's moving a runner, actually driving in a run, sometimes it's just getting 8 or 9 pitches in an at-bat. Qualifies as you did your job.
Well, that was a good at-bat because he had an 0-2 count to begin with, and then still was able to drive the ball to second base to move the runner over.
Meant to ask John Daniels, and I'm sure we'll have JD on again. But, you know, there's obviously a lot of comparisons that'll be made between Rudy Jaramillo, who's now at the Cubs, and Clint, who's now taking over for Rudy. And I think the best way I've heard it described when comparing the two, and I don't know if you agree or not, Tag, but this thought that Rudy was an all-world mechanic, and with Clint Hurdle, it's more about the psychology. They both know their stuff, but their concentrations are just a little different. Grounded left side, base hit. And the Rangers carve it down to 8-5.
Yeah, I would say the other difference is Rudy was a little bit more reserved, and Clint is much more outgoing. Not that one's good or bad, but their personalities are much different, too.
Yeah, it just is what it is. I mean, nothing bad about it either way.
No.
But yeah, I think basically Rudy was much more about the how, and Clint Hurdle is a philosophy major who asks why. I think nobody could break down a hitter's swing like Rudy. And it's been said no one can break down a hitter's head like Clint Hurdle. So I think it's a fun thing to talk about. And Be interested to get John Daniels' take on all that next time we have him on the air.
Rudy was a terrific hitting coach here. I'm sure he's going to be a terrific hitting coach in Chicago. The hitters there, I'm sure, a couple of weeks into spring training, loved him. And I think right off the bat, the Rangers were probably hitter-wise a little disappointed to see Rudy leave. I'm sure now, having gotten to know Clint a month into spring training, they're really happy with the style that he has and the results they're getting. So I think it's going to work out well for the Cubs. It's going to work out well for the Rangers.
Yeah.
That's what you hope in that kind of a situation.
No, and again, as we've talked about, the Cubs and Rangers are tied together by more than just uniform colors and kind of a soggy history of winning. You've got that Rudy Jaramillo component. You've got the Marlon Byrd component. And again, what you replace a Marlon Byrd with, we've talked about it, is Julio Bourbon. And you love that. So the Cubs win and the Rangers win. Which on a macro scale would make both fan bases really happy. Both those organizations finally won. '39th year of Ranger baseball. Boy, the Cub fans, we don't need to get into that probably too deep until the Rangers play the Cubs this spring, but more than 100 years now. That's a lot. Esteban Herman puts it in play towards short. There's one, there's two. Double play. Casilla gets out of the inning. The Rangers do get a couple, though. At the end of 8. San Francisco 8 and the Rangers 5. Eight to 5 ball game here in spring training. The Rangers will be taking on the Blue Jays April 5th. That's opening day. And then Wednesday night, the 7th, that's Dollar Hot Dog Night. Also a Dr. Pepper Autograph Wednesday. Rangers players and coaches signing autographs out in the concourse that night. A nice tradition continues. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. I'm going to get your grandson Bodie as the kid eating the hot dog up there in that, that little feature. Noonan sends one up in the air towards center. And Gentry's got it. How is young Mr. Bodie doing?
Bodie's doing great. He's got a sister named Kaya, and they're going to have a new addition to their family in September.
Wonderful.
Supposedly a girl, another girl. They don't eat a lot of snack food. He probably eats a hot dog occasionally, but if you're at their house and it's time for a snack and they're hungry, what he likes to eat is like a plate full of steamed broccoli and cauliflower.
Get the only 5-year-old grandson ever that shops at Sprouts.
The only one I've ever seen that ate cauliflower, I know that. And eats it like it's actually good. That's the man. They don't force it down him. That's what he wants.
You're a beaming grandpa on that one, too, because you still haven't had a hot dog since 1992, I think. What a fun to count to Ford. And Darren O'Day getting his second inning of work out there on the mound. Well, again with Darren O'Day, just a fantastic 2009. Just trying to continue that on into 2010. As fans continue to just hang and enjoy. Boy, just a terrific spring training postcard right there. Well, your kids had to be at, boy, how many spring trainings do you figure with Ben and Tim?
Well, they came to a lot of spring trainings, but then once they started playing Little League ball and Youth League, Select League, whatever they happened to be playing, and got to high school, then they ended up missing a lot of spring training. So they didn't make every one.
O'Day strikes out Ford.
Their favorite ones were when they were little. And in Pompano Beach, the Rangers had a lot of older players with kids that were about the same age. And there were a couple of spring trainings where probably 10 or 15 kids that went in back of the center field wall to a playground back there and would play their own games from the time they got there till the time it was time to leave, and just had a ball. Probably not a coincidence that the most fun they had was playing games where there was no adults around.
Torres sends one in the air towards right. And caught near the warning track to end the inning. The Rangers needing 3 to tie, 4 to win in the bottom of the 9th inning when we return to Surprise. Eight-5 lead for the Giants as we go to the bottom of the 9th. 6,000 plus in the crowd tonight. Still hoping for that foul ball, if nothing else. And maybe a Ranger comeback in the bottom of the 9th inning. Craig Gentry will lead it off. And Sergio Romo will take over on the mound. Romo was a guy that won consecutive games against the Rangers last summer in San Francisco. He hadn't won a game all year. Then he beat the Rangers twice in less than 24 hours. Coming out of the bullpen. First one to Gentry. And he was right there for a strike. Gentry smashing it to right field. That ball jumps to the warning track but does not get out. Torres, who has that great range, able to glide back and get it. Hernan Iribarren, the guy just brought over from Milwaukee a couple days ago, gets a chance now. Against the Brawley, California native, Sergio Romo. We talked about it earlier, Tag. Season number 39 coming up here for the Rangers. It's actually their 50th season if you include the time this franchise spent operating as the Senators in Washington. But they will not celebrate any kind of 50th anniversary. I bet you, though, next year, heading into the 40th year, is the Rangers. Something might be afoot. And again, even though hopes are high in 2010, there is the acknowledgement that Seattle seems to have gotten better, and the Angels are still the top dog, still the team you got to beat. That one scraped up near third and foul. Our next broadcast being against the Mariners, we will be able to spend a considerable amount of time in that game, I think, Tag, talking about what they've done and what they're all about for this 2010 season. But boy, suffice to say that 1-2 punch that they're going to feature in their starting rotation, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, and we mentioned this the other day too. If Eric Bedard is back to health and throwing the ball the way he's capable of, they have 3 #1 starters in their rotation.
Yeah, 2 preeminent leadoff hitters too. Question is, who actually leads off? Is it going to be Figgins or is it going to be Ichiro?
I think it's Ichiro hitting wherever he wants to hit, and then Figgins will fall in place. Not that Figgins is deserving of that, but let's face it, Ichiro is Ichiro. And he's done what he's done for the Mariners as a leadoff hitter, so my guess is he stays right there.
Brandon Boggs, who came in when Josh Hamilton got hit by a pitch. And again, good news, just a bruised wrist, we're told, for Josh. What do you figure? A couple days just kind of hang out and let it sit?
Yeah, it just depends. Sometimes a bruised wrist can be nothing, and sometimes it can be 4 or 5 days. I guess Josh is just going to have to wait till he wakes up tomorrow and see how it feels. The key was the smile that he had, which seemed to indicate that it wasn't serious.
A save situation, if it matters, in spring training for Sergio Romo. Not yet. 1-2 to a guy who's always had a pretty good eye up there, Brandon Boggs. I think he represents that disciplined approach. David Murphy, same thing. What the Rangers want to get back to. Brandon only had 19 at-bats as a Ranger last year. Only had 1 hit. But the year before that, he played a lot. If the Rangers don't win this one, they'll go to 4-7 with 1 tie. The Giants will have the best Cactus League record at 10-4 if they win this one. Boggs takes, and it's not over yet. There's that disciplined eye we're talking about. Toby Hall is on deck if the Rangers can keep this alive. Nope. Line drive to second ends the game. Giants 8, Rangers 5, the final tonight. The split squad, a team of the San Francisco Giants with the victory. We'll come back and wrap it up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.